Hi, I'm Rick Leach, quarterback for the University of Michigan Wolverines. Our team is really looking forward to this year's battle with Ohio State since it's coming down to the championship of the Big Ten, just as it has for the 4 years I've been here. And for me personally, I'm really looking forward to this game since it's my last game and I hope to make it my best.
I'm Mark Schleister, freshman quarterback for Ohio State. I've grown up in Ohio all my life, and it's going to be a great honor for me to be able to play in the Ohio State-Michigan rivalry.
The two quarterbacks in this Diamond Anniversary game, 21-year-old Rick Leach, a polished gem, a Heisman Trophy candidate, and 18-year-old talented freshman Art Schleister, a diamond in the rough.
George Patton Schembechler and his troops have arrived. Hello, everybody. Bob Ufer here in the chilly snake pit of Columbus, Ohio, all ready to bring you the 75th annual clash between Michigan and Ohio State. And for the 11th straight year, the winner of this afternoon's ball game will represent the Big Ten in the Rose Bowl on January 1st of 1979. And once again, the winner of this afternoon's game will be the Big Ten champions for 1978. I don't think the stakes could be any higher than they are right now, as two of the oldest and bitterest rivals in Big Ten football history have sounded the alarms, they've cleared the decks, and are anxiously awaiting kickoff along with you and me. You know, all the color, charisma, tension, booing, you can hear it in the background, and the anxiety that surrounds big-time college football. It's ready to burst here in Ohio State right now. Do you realize that the three largest crowds in the history of regular season college football have watched these two old rivals battle in their last three confrontations up there in little old Ann Arbor during the 73, 75, and 77 seasons? And today, it's another packed house of over 88,000 howling Wolverine Buckeye fans. You can hear them in the background as they greet the Michigan band, and it's the 63rd straight sellout. And they're here today, along with you and me, to see whether Dr. Strangehays and the Scarlet and Gray Legions of Ohio State can upset old General Bo George Patton Schembechler on his mad dash to Pasadena, California for the third straight year. It's already into the history book that right after that Black Saturday involving the upset at the hands of Michigan State 6 weeks ago, that the Wolverines had to fill 6 graves to get to Pasadena this fall, and you all know that the first 5 were all neatly tucked away with a combined score of Michigan 201 points to Wisconsin's, Minnesota's, Iowa's, Northwestern, and Purdue's, running up only 30 little points in losing causes over the past 5 Saturday afternoons. Michigan today is 9-1 in the season. The Wolverines are 6-1 in the Big Ten, and they rank 6th across the country. While down below us here on the western sideline will be the Scarlet and Gray Legions of Ohio State, who right now are also 6-1 in Big Ten play, along with Michigan and Michigan State. But on the season, the Buckeyes are 7 wins, 2 losses, and 1 tie, which probably accounts for the fact that Michigan is a 6-point favorite by the so-called impartial bookies around the country. Well, that gives you football fans across the state of Michigan the statistical background of this big ball game here in Columbus this afternoon. But how many times have you heard us say football is a game of emotions? And believe me, today's game is a prime example of just that. Listen to that Michigan band in the background with a big block M and the greatest college fight song ever written. You can hear it in the background, the Michigan Victors. You know, when you talk about Michigan beating Ohio State, and it looks like they should. They're a better team on paper, but this Buckeye-Wolverine clash is never played on paper, and you can bet your sweet patootie that the wily old Dr. Strangehays has a few tricks in store for his old pupil, General Bo George Patton Schembechler. For example, Bo has beaten Woody 4 times. Woody has beaten Bo 4 times to go along with that infamous tie game back in '73 that resulted in one of the most horrendous votes in the history of Big Ten football. But come on, you, let's not get carried away with that one again. Getting back to Bo and Woody. Bo Schembechler has won 68 games in Big Ten play in his 10 years at Michigan against only 8 losses. Woody, over this same 10-year period, has won 67 Big Ten games against only 9 defeats. Now, it couldn't be much closer, could it? In fact, you know something, football fans? This Big Bo, Little Woody football confrontation has captured the imagination of the entire sporting world across this country of ours, so that right now it has become as much American as apple pie, mother love, and the Statue of Liberty. Furthermore, if you live up there in God's country in the state of Michigan or in the state here of Ohio, and you lose this afternoon, you're in a state of shock for 12 long months. I don't know about you, but I can hardly wait for kickoff. Hot ziggity. Isn't this great? Isn't this what college football's all about? 2 great coaches, 2 great teams, Two great universities all getting together on a Saturday afternoon in the fall to agitate a pigskin up and down a field for 60 minutes. Now that sounds kind of silly, doesn't it? But when you realize that football is a religion at Michigan and here at Ohio State, and today, Saturday, is the holy day of obligation. Right now, as we look around us here, the weather in Columbus is perfect for football. Not too cold, about 42 degrees. There is a bit of a wind coming in from the southwest, about 10 to 12 miles per hour. The sky is overcast. It's perfect for football. The field's dry. It's in excellent shape. And you know, summing it all up, it couldn't be much better weather-wise for football in late November. At the moment, down on the Mod Sod, or the Buckeye Turf as it's called, is the Michigan band going through their big pregame pageantry. You know, football fans, when you talk about the battle of the bands, when Michigan and Ohio State get together, it's just about as scintillating as the game itself. And that about sets a complete stage for this 1978 bloodletting between Michigan and Ohio State for the Big Ten Championship and the Rose Bowl bid. Right now, it's time to get down to that Michigan locker room, and old General Bo himself, who is probably chat sky high right now, but I'm sure he will exemplify the lull before the storm. All this will be coming up after these opening messages over this, the Michigan Championship bound in every sense of the word, Football Network.
It's interesting to see how evenly matched these two teams are. Both of them are moving the football at over 400 yards a game. They also are averaging over 30 points a game. And when you look at the individual positions of tailback, fullback, and flankerback, it's really interesting how evenly matched they are. Let's take a look at the fullback production. Russell Davis, a great football player from Michigan, has rushed for 607 yards. Paul Campbell from Ohio State, 562 yards. And then we go to the flankerback position, and it's incredible when you see the statistics there. You'll see that Ralph Clayton, the wingback for the Michigan Wolverines, has caught 21 passes for 478 yards. Doug Donnelly, 21 passes for over 450 yards as well. But there is one, in spite of all that you see that appears to be an even matchup offensively, I believe that there is one area that Michigan has a distinct advantage, and that's at the quarterback spot. Rick Leach, four-year senior, a great football player. His stats, along with Art Schleister's, are very identical in regard to the rushing yardage, the passing percentages, and the passing yardage. But when you look at the touchdown passes, 14 touchdown passes for Rick Leach and only 4 for Art Schleister. Then you look at the other interception ratio, and you find that Rick Leach in 10 ball games has only thrown 4, while Art Schleister has thrown 19. So the advantage is definitely, without question, Michigan's at that quarterback spot. However, I might mention that Art Schleister has only thrown 7 interceptions in the last 6 games.
Art Schleister is the big story in Ohio State football this year. The freshman quarterback started the first game against Penn State. He's been rather sheltered from the press and the media, but after the final practice yesterday, we had an opportunity to talk to this exceptional young man.
Art, when you approach this Michigan game, is there any different feeling than you have in the other games in the season?
Well, not really. I'm not really nervous now that I've been through 10, and they've been 10 tough games, and the Penn State one was the toughest game, and I paid for it, and I'm looking forward to playing against Michigan and Rick Leach, because I know he's a great quarterback, and it's just going to be an honor, and I'm just going out there and strive to do my best.
Has this first season for you offered any surprises?
I guess when I first went into the season, I was looking forward to playing for Ohio State, and I thought I had a good chance to start. But then when I started, I was hoping for to lead the team and lead them to be undefeated. You know, when we came into Michigan, but it didn't turn out that way. But we've had a lot of pluses, and yeah, we've had a lot of things go wrong. But we're just hoping we can put it all together against Michigan, and everything will hopefully will work out for the best.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
What have you told your team this year?
Well, you don't have to tell them too much. The Ohio State game is such a great traditional classic, and of course it's meant so much the last 10 years. The Rose Bowl and the championship hanging in the balance. As I look back, I think it was only in 1971 that the trip to the Rose Bowl wasn't one of the incentives.
How would you appraise this Ohio State team, forgetting that they're 7-2-1, but very objectively, how do you look at it?
I think this is a great football team. I say that because since mid-season they've played great ball offensively. Their defense has improved an awful lot. They were thrown on early, but basically, as I looked at film, those are all fantastic catches by teams that were throwing the ball early in the year. And they have great special teams. They return the punt well. They rush the punt. They've got a great kicker. They've got a great kickoff return man. I think it's a tremendous team.
Well, Coach, how would you appraise this Michigan team that you're going to play tomorrow?
I think it's one of the best teams they've ever had. They've come a long way on defense during the season, and of course they have 3 very experienced backs in their backfield with their quarterback, their fullback, and their tailback. They're all 3 seniors and have played now for 4 years. So it's an experienced ball club.
Those were almost the words, as a matter of fact, that Bo Schembechler talked about the Ohio State team, saying it's one of the most improved teams he's seen. He thinks it's the best team that he will have faced. Now, he said that this will be the best team that Michigan has faced this year.
Well, I hope that's right. I think it will be tomorrow afternoon. We have not been that good this year. We've been hurt badly with injuries, and we have not been that good, but we have managed to keep going and get a little better all the time, and we're hoping that all of our efforts will come to a great fruition tomorrow afternoon.
Now, let's go out to the flip of the coin at the center of the field. Otho Kortz is our referee today. The co-captains are there. Let's listen in.
Now, my crew, Chet DeStefano, Eddie Marasich, Don Mason, Larry Nemmers, and Rich Weiler. All right, guys, the standard coin. You will call it in the air. If I drop it, we'll start again. Call it. He called tails. He got it. You've won the toss. All right, they're going to receive what end you defend. If you step around there, careful my cord. The toss is won here. We'll receive. All right, guys, let's have a good one.
A fantastic rivalry. Big Bo and Little Woody have each won 4. They tied once 5 years ago, that 10-10 tie in Ann Arbor. Now they're breaking back. There he goes, number 21, Tony Jackson and Ralph Clayton, as we told you a moment ago. And kicking for Ohio State will be number 1. And that means Ohio State will have kicking off for them here Bob Ufer, the Worthington, Ohio freshman. That's only a freshman out there kicking off. He's 6'1", 166 pounds. Ohio State is made up 88% of Ohio-born youngsters. And the referee is dropping his arm. He will in just a second. And there it is. Ohio State's Bob Ufer, A-T-H-A, approaches the Big Sky. The 78 Michigan-Ohio game is into the record book with a kickoff going to the 1-yard line. Tony Jackson to the 10, the 15. He's hit at the 20 and dropped at the 21-yard line. Tony Jackson dropped over there by Jim Laughlin, number 5. And so check in the Michigan offense. Ricky, the Peach, Leach, the guts and glue of the maize and blue at quarterback. It will be Woolfolk at tailback. Butch Woolfolk will start at tailback. A last-minute switch since we left the locker room. Bo thought that might start Huckabee, but he has decided against it. And it is Woolfolk at tailback, Russell Davis at fullback, 2 wide outs. It'll be Feaster wide out to the right, Clayton at the slot, Ricky Leach under center, 1st and 10 on the Michigan 21-yard line. It's Woolfolk deep and Davis close, and Davis has the ball up over the 25, 26, and that pile-driving fullback is brought down by the number 1 linebacker in Ohio State history. Cousineau, number 36, makes his 207th tackle of this season. A tremendous record. 116 solos, 90 assists. He's had 9 sacks. He is the number 1 defensive man. He just made his first tackle of the ball game. It'll be 2nd down and about 6. The ball rests 18 yards in from the far eastern sideline. No score from Columbus, Ohio. Michigan took the kickoff, brought it back to the 21. Woolfolk deep and Davis close. Clayton and Feaster wide to the right. There's Woolfolk. He's hit at the 27 and dropped in there. Picking up on the play about 3 yards from the 25 to the 28-yard line. Ohio State's front 5, Dantzler, Cato, Sullivan at the middle guard. Henson along with Paul Ross. The Wolverine offensive line averages 238 pounds a man. The Buckeye front 5 average 236. Michigan has the 2-pound advantage up front. And listen to the voice of Ohio State football in the background. The first 3rd down situation for Ricky Leach, who has been tremendous in there on 3rd downs over the past 3 Saturdays. Larry Reed's in at fullback. Woolfolk, Reed along with Clayton. And it is Reed right behind Ricky Leach. It's 3rd down and about 4. Ricky Leach on the long count. Hands it off to Larry Reed, and no, Ricky Leach keeps it, and he scrambles up to the 31-yard line. Did he make the first down? Remember, the kickoff was brought back to the 21, and did Ricky Leach pick up a first down? We'll have a measurement over there on that eastern sideline. The ball is 2 yards away from that chain gang, and they're going to have a measurement here as they're putting the ball down. The referee will walk over to the 25-yard line, and they'll move that chain out. And if you hear a dead silence, that means Michigan has picked up a first down. There it is, and it is first down, maize and blue. And the Wolverines draw first blood in the statistical picture of the 1978 bloodletting from Ohio. It is Michigan's Ricky, the Peach Leach, taking that ball, moving out in the option, faking to Reed, keeping it himself, faking to Woolfolk, and he moved around the left side, getting a block there from Giesler along with Gene Johnson. So two wide outs, Clayton wide to the right at the slot, along with Feaster. It's Russell Davis back in close in the I formation. Woolfolk deep. Woolfolk has it, follows Davis. He's over the 35. He's down to the 40, the 41, the 42, the 44, the 45-yard line. That young freshman who coming into the ball game had carried the pigskin for Michigan in not 10 ball games, although Michigan has played 10 in the last 5 games, 62 times for 330 yards. That's a 5.5 yard per carry average. And he scored 2 touchdowns, he being Butch Woolfolk. My name is Butch. Don't call me Harold Woolfolk, Mr. Ufer. That's my name. And right now I'm lined up at the tandem of the I. 1st and 10 for the Maize and Blue on their own 44-yard line. Woolfolk deep and Davis close. And there is Davis. He's hit right there at the line of scrimmage. Hit in there by Mark Sullivan, making his second tackle of the afternoon, the 87th of the 1978 season. Ohio State, for the defense picture, will use just about the same as Michigan. The overshifted 5-man front. Then, of course, the 2 linebackers, the 2 cornerbacks, and then the 2 safeties. So it's almost a 5-4-2. They will put their Buckeye, the strong safety, to the wide side of the field. You can see him out there now, Todd Bell, number 25. And then, of course, the free safety is Skillings. And looking that all over is Ricky Peach on the perfect I. It's Woolfolk deep, Davis close, Clayton wide to the right, Gene Johnson in motion. Michigan pitches the ball out, and there's Woolfolk following Johnson over the 45, knocked out of bounds in Bo Schembechler's lap. Right there at the 47-yard line, we pause 15 seconds for station identification over this, the Michigan-Ohio State Football Network.
Hi, everybody. This is Bob Hines, and I hope you'll join me for the great and colorful fall weekend, Saturdays and Sundays, right here on WJR Detroit, America's great radio station.
Bob Ufer here at Columbus, Ohio. We have played exactly 3 minutes. And there's no score. Michigan took the opening kickoff back to the Wolverine 21. They have it now 3rd and 8 on their own 46. It's Woolfolk deep and Davis close and Ricky Leach under center. Probably the first pass play of the game. He's looking for a receiver. He gets away from 1, he gets away from 2, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage. Beautiful defensive work in there by Dantzler, number 32. Kelton Dantzler coming in and almost making his 5th sack of 1978. But Ricky Leach eluded 2 would-be tacklers as the Ohio State defense is high. Emotionally, Ohio State has got the little advantage having the home crowd, and they're the underdogs. Greg Wilner is standing back on his own 30-yard line. He's punted 39 times and averaged 41 yards a kick. It's a single safety back in the person of Guess, number 12 for Ohio State. There is the kick, a long, high spiral. Guess is brought back 31. There's an Ohio State bounce at the 25-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Scarlet and Gray. So for those of you who may have just tuned in, Michigan won the toss of the coin. The Wolverines elected to receive. Tony Jackson brought it back from the Wolverine 1-yard line to the Maize and Blue 21. Michigan picked up 1 first down, then picked up a 2nd first down, and then they were forced to punt from their own 45-yard line. The punter, Greg Wilner, standing on the Wolverine 30. A 28-yard kick with no return as it was downed on the 27-yard line. It'll be Springs deep and Camel close. Schleister, the freshman, under center. Schleister rolls out, and he gets away from 1 man, 2 men, hit at the 29 and dropped at the 30-yard line. Art Schleister, number 10, who had carried the ball coming into the ball game 118 times for a total of 488 yards. That's a 4-yard per carry average. He's run for 11 touchdowns. He's passed for 4 touchdowns. He's been intercepted 19 times out of 146 passes thrown. He's completed 67 for 1,002 yards. So it'll be Donley Wright, and there's a handoff to the fullback, and he gets up to the 34-yard line. It's Paul Campbell, number 38, from the I formation. It was Campbell close. Campbell averaging about 4.5 yards per carry in their first 10 games. He's the leading ball carrier. He had carried the ball, number 38, for Ohio State 130 times in their first 10 games. Up over the ball comes Tim Vogler. The quarterback, Art Schleister, looks at a 5-2-4 defensive alignment. He has 1 man back. It's Volley. And there is the handoff to Volley, and Volley is hit, but he gets away, and he gets a first down to the Ohio State 41-yard line. Ben Needham makes the tackle, the Groveport, Ohio sophomore, making his first tackle of the afternoon, the 15th of his young career here as a sophomore at the University of Michigan. So Michigan's front five now averages 226 pounds a man. Offensively, the Buckeyes right now with two tight ends average 238 pounds. And going in motion is Donnelly. There are two setbacks. Schleister's back for a pass. Cocks his arm. He's getting time to pass. Now he throws down. It's caught at the 44-yard line. Caught on the ground there by Ron Springs, making his 10th reception of 1978, his first of the afternoon. Coming into the game, Ron Springs had caught 9 for 93 yards. Springs has run well from the tailback spot. A year ago, in 77, he gained over 1,000 yards. This year, he's only picked up 480 yards. He's been injured on and off all year. He's at the tailback. He has it now, and he's up over the 45 to the 48-yard line. Ron Springs picking up 4 more yards. He caught a pass to pick up 4 yards, and he ran with the ball 4 yards, and he's brought down by Canavino. Andy Canavino, number 41, making his second tackle of the afternoon, the 49th of his 1978 sophomore career at Michigan. Michigan's front five right now, averaging 226. Ohio's offensive front seven, 234. Bartig, number 82, is in at tight end. There are two running backs. In motion comes Donnelly, across formation. There's a handoff to the fullback. Springs over the 50, gets to the first down to the Michigan 48-yard line. Ricardo Volley carried the ball, number 22. And Volley is that fine junior who has just come into his own in the latter part of 1978. He'd carried the ball about 4 times in the first 5 games. Since then, he's carried it 62 times, picking up 377 yards and average 6 yards per carry. Right now, it's 1st and 10 for Ohio State. They have 2 first downs. Michigan has 2 first downs. The Buckeyes in the I formation. Springs deep, Volley close. Here comes Donnelly in motion across formation. Schleister goes out, hands to the fullback in there, and he's dropped at the 46-yard line. Ricardo Volley, number 22. Taking the ball for the second play in a row, picking up about 2.5 yards on the play. It brings up 2nd down and 10. No score from Columbus, Ohio. 8 minutes and 29 seconds remaining in the first period. Both teams sort of feeling each other out. Ohio's thrown 1 pass. It was complete. From Schleister to Springs. Michigan's Ricky Leach tried to pass and almost ate the ball for a loss. Managed to scramble back to the line of scrimmage. 2nd and 8. At the Wolverine 46-yard line. Donnelly in motion. There is the fullback. Pitch is off to Springs. Down the right sideline. He's driven out of bounds at the Michigan 36-yard line by Mike Harden. Harden going in for his 2nd tackle of the ball game, his 48th tackle of the season. And Ohio State right now, the Daubers of the Scarlet and Gray are up. Michigan's defensive front five. Meter, Greer, Turgovac, Kites, and Needham. Talking things over along with Ron Simpkins, the defensive captain. At least he's a captain in that he calls the defensive plays. Up over the ball comes Timmy Vogler. It rests 18 yards in from the far eastern sideline. 1 wide out here, ride to the left. Gerald. Check, it's Donnelly. There is a handoff this time to Springs, and he's through the right side to the 36-yard line, picking up about 2 yards on the play. Jerry Meter nosing in from his outside linebacking position, making his 3rd tackle of the ball game. And his 81st tackle of 1978 as a senior, defensive end, outside linebacker, call him what you will. He's in there now, number 46, along with the other front five. Looking that all over is Schleister, Art Schleister. He has it 2nd and 8 on the Michigan 37-yard line. 2 running backs back there. Rolling out for a pass, and he's away from one would-be tackler. He runs with the ball. He's down to 35, the 30, the 28-yard line. Art Schleister running in great shape from the option, eluding 2 would-be tacklers. And finally, Ron Simpkins brings him down at the 28-yard line, and Ohio State is just inches away from their 4th first down of the ball game. For those of you who may have just tuned in, Michigan picked up 2 first downs after the opening kickoff on the ground. They punted to Ohio State. The Buckeyes have moved from their own 28-yard line down to the Michigan 29-yard line, where it is 3rd down and 1. The old full house tee, 2 tight ends in a balanced line. And it looks to be Springs, Camel, along with Volley. And there is the drive in there for a first down by Ohio State. And the man who carried the ball that time was Camel, number 38, picked up Ohio State. 4th first down, and listen to the partisan crowd go wild. Michigan trying to shore up the defense a little bit here. Roaring in from the sideline over there. Number 62 for Michigan, Weber coming in. And Bell going out at the strong safety. Schleister looks that over, puts Donnelly in motion, has the I formation, Springs deep, Camel close, fakes to Camel, keeps it dropped right there at the 23-yard line. Schleister on the option play. Faked it to Camel. Camel went through and took two Wolverine would-be tacklers with him, and then Schleister kept the ball and wiggled and turned for about a 2-yard gain. It'll bring up a 2nd down and 7. The ball resting 19 yards in from this, the western sideline. No score from Columbus, Ohio. We have 6 minutes and 7 seconds remaining in the first period. Ohio State has moved from their own 28 to the Michigan 23-yard line. It's one man back of Schleister, and that man is Springs. There goes Donnelly in motion across formation. There is a rollout by Schleister looking for a pass receiver, and he's going to eat it. No, sir, he loses one man. He goes out of bounds, loses 2 yards on the play, and driving him out of bounds over there was 77, Turgovac. Turgovac drove him out of bounds along with Needham. So Ohio on that play with their quarterback rolling out, trying to elude a would-be tackler, couldn't find a man open, kept the ball. Schleister was driven out of bounds for a 5-yard loss, so it'll be 3rd down and 12. 3rd and 12. In the wings for Ohio State is their fine place kicker. At the I formation, Springs deep, volley close. Schleister under center at quarterback. Schleister drops back, fakes it on a draw play, and he breaks through, not for a first down, to the 20-yard line. It's Ricardo Volley, who Woody Hayes told us last night at John Galbraith's tremendous press party. Boy, that was really elaborate out there at Galbraith Farms, about 15 miles outside of Columbus. Woody was a guest speaker, and he told us this little lad, Ricardo Volley, number 22, a junior from down in Virginia, has come into his own as a football player for Ohio State. Okay, attempting the field goal will be Bob Ufer. He has made 4 out of 6. Holding is Castagnola from Trenton, Michigan. It's end over end, and it is no good. And Michigan takes over just about where they started the ball game 11 minutes ago when they took the opening kickoff with Tony Jackson bringing it out to the 21-yard line. In between the opening kickoff and the missed field goal by Ohio State, Michigan picked up 2 first downs, Ohio State 4. And 1st and 10 from the 20. The big I didn't take as much time as Ufer thought they would. We're sorry we missed a play. It was a handoff to Woolfolk up to the Michigan 27-yard line. It'll be 2nd down and 3. Washington made the tackle. Woolfolk deep and Davis close. I formation. Fake to Davis, gives to Woolfolk. He hits nothing but Scarlett and Gray at the line of scrimmage, in the person of Luther, Henson, Sullivan, and Ross, all in there, making a trio tackle as Ohio State is tough up front against the run. Most teams have been able to penetrate Ohio State through the air lanes because the Ohio State secondary have a lot of inexperienced sophomores and juniors back there. So it'll be another 3rd down for Ricky Leach. He has converted 1 out of 2, and this will be his 3rd attempt. Rosie Smith is in at tailback now. It'll be Smith deep and Davis close in the I formation. Wide to the right is Feaster, wide to the left is Clayton. And Ricky Leach looks over a 5-2-4 defense, and then on the draw play, he gives off to the fullback, who gets to the 30-yard line, and he's inches short. It was Russell Davis on the draw play with 3rd down. Michigan fails to pick up a first down, and Russell Davis is stopped about a yard shy. And listen to the partisan crowd go wild here as their favored sons from Ohio State, you'd have to say, have dominated this first quarter. But last year, remember, Ohio State dominated the whole first quarter. Michigan had 5 plays and gained 4 yards. But that's in the history book. Right now, Greg Wilner is standing back on his own 16-yard line. His 1 punt was good for 28 yards. He's averaged 41 in the season. There it is, almost blocked. End over end, taken by Guest at the 40. Guest breaks away from 1 man. 2 men dropped at the 50-yard line. A beautiful punt return there by Guest, who has averaged coming into the ball game for Ohio State on punt returns 10 yards. And meanwhile, his counterpart, Art Schleister, is under center at quarterback. He gives off to Volley, and he's down to the Michigan 29-yard line. Ricardo Volley breaks through the entire Michigan front forward wall. He breaks by the strong safety, and Mike Harden, the safety man, the last man, the free safety, made the tackle, and Ohio State is jacked right now, and psychologically their daubers are high. Michigan, meanwhile, had better dig in defensively as the Wolverines looking at Ohio State with 2 tight ends and a balanced line. It's the I formation, Springs deep and Volley close to Schleister under center. Puts Donnelly in motion. Schleister goes out, keeps it, pitches off to the tailback, who breaks the tackle to 30, the 25, Springs out of bounds at the 19-yard line. Ron Springs broke a tackle back at the 29. And Kurt Greer finally made the tackle down at the 18-yard line. Michigan is not Shoulder tackling. Lundo, they're not driving through with their bodies on their tackles. I don't think Don can hear me here. The crowd is roaring so much that I'm sure he'll agree that Michigan is not tackling with their bodies.
Well, they certainly weren't there, Bob. And actually, Ohio has just run a basic option offense, and Schleicher's done a good job going to his tailback Springs and Daly fullback, and they've done a good job. Back to you, Bob.
Schleicher under center, 1st and 10 at the Michigan 18-yard line. Donnelly in motion. Schleicher keeps it. He's hit at the 15, down to the 14, 13-yard line. Art Schleicher picking them up and laying them down in and out of the hands of would-be tacklers. Turgovac and Simpkins making the tackle at the Michigan 13-yard line. And right now, the scarlet and gray Daubers are sky high, and the Wolverines are as gray as the sky here in Columbus at the moment. Michigan's Ron Simpkins trying to talk things up defensively. Up over the ball for the Buckeyes comes Tim Vogler. The line follows. It's the I formation. Springs deep and volley close. It'll be Schleicher under center at quarterback. It's 2nd down and 5. There goes Donnelly in motion across formation. Schleicher keeps the ball, and he slips right there at the 13-yard line. That was 2nd down and 5. It'll be 3rd down and 5. Remember, we said at the outset, at the top of the broadcast, that we thought the field was dry, and it is, relatively speaking, but this is November, and any time a tartan surface gets any kind of moisture on it, it's slippery. And I would suggest, or I would hazard a guess, that outside of the hash lines toward the out-of-bounds lines, it's a bit slippery on both sides. Schleicher asks the crowd to settle down. 3rd and 5, 2 tight ends, pitches off to Spring. He slips again at the 12-yard line. And again, we add that it is tough, and that can only remind us of 1974 and 1972. Remember up at that end, Don, in the second quarter, late in the second quarter, Chuck Heater went around in from the 2-yard line and slipped on that same spot just about.
I remember that well, Bob, but, you know, I found out when I called down this week about covering the field. They don't cover the field, and also they water it to help prevent knee injuries, Bob.
Okay, Atha. The same lad who attempted one, Bob Atha, and kneeling, Castaneda. Castaneda holds, Atha kicks, and it is good. Ohio State 3. They move 50 yards in 6 plays with Atha connecting on his 5th field goal of 1978. 5 out of 8. And that is one he will never forget over this, the very maize and blue Michigan Football Network. His beautiful tartan surface, Ohio State moved 50 yards in 6 plays, and Bob Atha connected on a 29-yard field goal. The Buckeyes lead 3-0. Right now, Michigan State is entertaining Iowa, and if Michigan State wins, they will tie for the Big Ten Championship with the winner here this afternoon. Minnesota is at Wisconsin, Indiana at Purdue, Illinois and Northwestern played to start the season, so they are not scheduled today. Atha kicks off. It doesn't go deep. In fact, it looks like it'll probably go out of bounds, and it does. So they will come back upfield and kick all over again from the Buckeye 35-yard line. And then the infamous Snow Bowl game, 9-3 in the snow. Michigan didn't get a first down, didn't complete a pass. Chuck Ortman punted 26 times, still stands as a Big Ten record. Michigan blocked 2 Ohio State punts and won that ball game 9-3. There's Atha kicking off again. It's deep. It's taken by Jackson at the 5. He's up to the 10. Jackson of Michigan to the 15, 20, 25, 30, 31-yard line. 10 yards further out than he took the opening kickoff here this afternoon. The same young man in the white jersey from Ann Arbor, number 21, the freshman from Cleveland, Ohio, 5'10", 175 pounds. So Michigan now trailing in the ball game 3-0, but they trailed a year ago 7-0, and then they came back to win, or rather 3-0, and then they came back to win that one 14-6. So pro set, Clayton wide to the right, Feaster wide to the left, Woolfolk deep and Davis close. Here comes Feaster in motion across formation, pitches off to Woolfolk. Woolfolk is hit right there at the line of scrimmage and gets absolutely no yardage at all. As Butch Woolfolk, number 24, averaging 5.5 yards a carry coming into the ball game, has carried the ball here this afternoon 3 times and picked up an average of about 2 yards per carry. He gained sizable yardage on one and is stymied on the other 2 carries. It'll be 2nd down now, and still just about 10 yards to go for the first down. Michigan has 2 first downs. Ohio State has 7 first downs. Up over the ball comes Steve Nada. Wide to the right is Feaster. Wide to the left is Clayton. It's Woolfolk deep and Davis close, and Ohio State leading 3-0, and Ricky Leach looks over that defense, and then he's back for a pass. Ricky Leach has plenty of time. Throws it downfield, and it's caught at the midfield stripe by Marsh. 45 knocked out of bounds at the Buckeye 44-yard line. Mike Guest knocks out Doug Marsh, who has just caught his 17th pass of 1978 and the first of the afternoon. At the top of this program, early in the first quarter, we said the other teams in the Big Ten. And Ohio's other 10 opponents, Penn State, Baylor, and Southern Methodist, along with Big Ten schools, have picked up yardage in the air, not against that vaunted Ohio State defensive front five. So Michigan's Ricky Leach has just connected on his first pass of the afternoon. He's 1 for 1. He looks over a four-man front, 4-4-3. Is Woolfolk deep and Davis close. And then he rolls out and fakes the draw play. Ricky Leach is back. Leach throws downfield and is caught by Woolfolk at the 35, the 30, and knocked out of bounds. A beautiful catch by that freshman, Donald. He caught a hard, that ball was well thrown by Ricky Leach. It almost looked like a catcher throwing a man out going from first to second on a steal. And Woolfolk reached up, caught it, and brought it in. A tremendous catch by that freshman.
It certainly was, Bob. He shows that he not only can run the football, but he's got great hands with an excellent catch and an excellent run for a first down. Back to you, Robert.
Okay, Michigan has the ball right now, 1st and 10, just inside of the Ohio State 30-yard line. Up over the ball comes Steve Nada. Ohio State leads 3-0. Wide to the left is Feaster. Wide to the right is Clayton. Woolfolk deep and Davis close and Ricky Leach under center. Taking plenty of time with 15 seconds left in the first quarter. 2 tight ends now. And Ricky Leach takes plenty of time. Fakes again. He's back for a pass. He looks for a receiver, and it's Feaster who catches it. Touchdown! Touchdown! Ron Feaster! Ron Feaster picks up the first touchdown pass of his career. And that little lad from Flint, the same high school that graduated Ricky Leach, graduated Feaster 2 years ago, and he has just caught his 4th pass of 1978, and Michigan is on top, 6-3, and old Ricky Leach right now is 3 for 3, and once again that was a beautifully caught pass by Feaster. He was covered over there, covered in there by Guess, and so kneeling will be B.J. Dickey, attempting the extra point by Greg Wilner. Greg Wilner on extra points is 42 out of 44. B.J. Dickey snaps his hands. It's spotted. It's kicked. It's end over end, and it's a great big Michigan 7, Ohio State 3 over this great big Michigan football game with Ohio State. I'm telling you, this is what it's all about. The Buckeyes took 6 plays to go 50 yards. Michigan moved 70 yards in 4 plays, and the key plays, a pass to Marsh that put it on the Ohio State 41-yard line, and then Woolfolk caught a pass to put it on the Buckeye 29, and then Feaster caught a beautifully thrown 29-yard touchdown pass. Feaster's longest reception of the year was a 19-yarder 3 weeks ago against Iowa. A tremendous comeback, Donald, when the Daubers of the Maize and Blue were down. Old Ricky the Peach Leach, the guts and glue of the Maize and Blue came through.
Very good, Bob. I'd like to take time out for a minute to congratulate Detroit DePories, who beat Crystal Falls of the Upper Peninsula in the Class D playoffs at the Silverdome, 38-14, Bob. And at halftime, or first quarter, it's 0-0 North Farmington and Trenton. Take it away, Robert.
Okay, there's the kick, end over end and out of bounds. Brian Virgil's kickoff following Michigan's first touchdown and the only touchdown of this ball game. They'll bring it back up. Michigan will kick from the 35, just as Atha had to do a moment ago after Ohio State moved 50 yards in 6 plays, and the Buckeyes had a 19-yard field goal. They came back and kicked off, and they kicked it out of bounds. So tit for tat, these two teams evenly matched here this afternoon so far. And you know, ironically enough, Ohio State has not scored a touchdown against Michigan in 3 out of the last 4 years. In 1974, they beat Michigan here on 4 field goals, 10-12. Ohio State had 4 field goals. In 1976, Michigan shut out the Buckeyes 22-0. Last year, Michigan beat them 14-6 on 2 field goals. Ohio State had 3 touchdowns in 75. That's the last time they scored a touchdown. There's a kick, and it's going out of bounds again at the 10-yard line. And on the second kick, I believe they'll come back upfield again, won't they, Donald?
They certainly will, Bob, and it's 5 more yards. That's the way the rule reads. It's an illegal procedure penalty in which you're penalized 5 yards. I guess you could just keep doing it all day long, although we'll get that ball in place soon.
Well, eventually this lad has kicked a lot of non-returnable kickoffs, but he's got his work cut out for him now. This young man from Buchanan, Michigan, stands 5'10", 183 pounds. Brian Virgil, number 2, will kick from his own 30-yard line now. And Ohio State should have excellent field position. They'll have 2 men back, and they will have a man by the name of Murray, number 43, along with Hicks, number 37. And Hicks has averaged 28 yards on 13 kickoff returns. He is Ohio's answer to Woolfolk. He is Ohio State's answer to Woolfolk in that he runs a 6'1", 60-yard dash. He is the defending Big Ten 60-yard dash champ. He runs 109.6. There's the kick, a squib kick. And it's taken down there by number 43. That's Murray. He's up to 25. He slips at the 31, and Ohio gets good field position, but not real good considering the fact that Michigan's Brian Virgil had to kick from his own 30. So give Ohio the ball. They trail in the ball game 7-3, and they have it about 21 yards in from the far eastern sideline. Around the country, the top 6 teams, Penn State, number 1, came from behind to defeat Pitt yesterday, 17-10 in a big ball game. Alabama, number 2, is idle. Southern Cal will be playing Notre Dame later today. Oklahoma has finished their season. And number 5, Houston at Texas Tech. And number 6, Michigan, is looking at Fleister right now, who's back for a pass. He slipped. He may eat the ball. No, he gets away from 1 man, 2 men. He's a great scrambler. And Simpkins misses him and knocks him out of bounds at the 43-yard line. Boy, this lad, Art Fleister, is something else again, believe me. And there it is, the end of the first quarter. Michigan 7, Ohio State 3. Hang on to your kilohertz. We're going to have 45 minutes of great football over this, the Michigan Football Network. The sun, the November sun, comes out for the first time in this ball game. You know, actually, Donald, it couldn't be better weather for football.
Well, Bob, before the ball game, I talked to a player that had played for Michigan the last several years, Kurt Stevenson. He said it was ideal, and getting ready for this game is something else. And just, you're right, the weather is just perfect.
Okay, under center is Art Fleister, 1st and 10, and then he hands off to his fullback who hits to the 45-yard line, Ricardo Volley. Campbell, coming into the game, was the regular fullback. I don't think he was injured, although he had carried the ball in 10 games for Ohio State 130 times. Ricardo had only carried it 66. But Ricardo Rivaldi, is in there now, and he's doing a great job, this junior from down in Virginia. He's up close now in the I formation. It's 2nd down and 8. And there is Fleister rolling out to the right. He pitches off to Springs, and Springs is trapped there at the 46-yard line, and that's about as far as he gets as Jerry Meter, the defensive co-captain, an outside linebacker, moved in real well, used his hands, shucked one would-be blocker, and made the tackle on Ron Springs at the Ohio State 47-yard line. It brings up 3rd down, and Fleister in 3rd down conversions is 3 out of 5. Ricky Leach right now is 1 out of 3. And the score again, for those of you who may have just tuned in, Michigan moves 70 yards to go ahead 7-3 after Ohio State had moved 50 yards. Right now he's standing back on the Ohio State 32-yard line. The point of scrimmage is a Buckeye 47. There's a snap. There's the kick, a right-footed kick. Not too much height. An Ohio State bounce to the 20. Now a Michigan bounce is hit right around the 20. 1st and 10 for the Maize and Blue on their own 20-yard line. Well, that was a 33-yard kick with no return, about 11 yards short of his average. He, of course, being Tom Orris, the number 1 punter in the Big Ten right now. Ohio has had some great punters in the past. Tom Sladany, who's doing the punting for the Detroit Lions now. The leading punter in Ohio State history. On his career from 1973 through 1976, 4 years, he averaged 42.5 yards a punt, and his season record, an all-time Buckeye record in 76, he punted an average of 46.5 yards a punt every single punt that he had in 1976. On the 21-yard line, Ricky Leach hands off to the fullback, Russell Davis, who gets about 2 yards. Michigan going into the line again against that front 5 of Ohio. Washington, along with Cousineau, all in there making the tackle on Russell Davis. It'll bring up 2nd down and 8. And the key factor in this ball game so far is a statistic which shows Ricky Leach has passed 3 times, completed 3. The first one was to Marsh, the second one was to Woolfolk, and a beautifully thrown 29-yard touchdown pass to Feaster. And that's been the difference. As Ricky Leach sets his team 2nd and 8. He has Clayton and Feaster at the pro set positions. Woolfolk deep and Davis close, and Ricky Leach is going to drop and roll out to the right in the option. He cuts it at the 25 and gets to the 28-yard line. And so Ricky Leach will be faced with his 4th 3rd down situation. He's converted 1 out of 3 in the first down. For those of you who may have just tuned in, Michigan has 5 first downs. Ohio State has 8. Ohio State in the first 15 minutes moved the ball 104 yards. Michigan in the first quarter moved the ball 103 yards. Michigan has 7 points. Ohio State has 3. That's it. It's been a great ball game. Both teams like 2 big heavyweight fighters sort of feeling each other out. And I would expect that the air will be filled with pigskins over the next 38 minutes. There's Rosie Smith at the tandem of the eye with Davis close. It's 3rd down. Ricky Leach is back. He throws a shuffle pass to Davis. First down to the 35, 37-yard line. A beautiful shuffle pass out in the right flat as Russell Davis has just caught his 4th pass of 1978. Coming into the game, the co-captain on offense from Woodbridge, Virginia, had caught 3 passes good for 15 yards. His longest reception, 14 yards, and that one that time was good for just about 9 yards. So it gives Michigan their 6th first down, and they keep this drive alive. As the last time they had the ball, they moved 70 yards in 4 plays to take a first quarter lead of 7-3. We now see the clock shows 11 minutes and 42 seconds remaining in the first half. Ricky Leach is under center. He has Woolfolk deep and Davis close and Clayton wide out to the left. There goes.
We pause for station identification.
There is a fake draw. Ricky Leach has time, and he scrambles. He breaks away, and he throws a long pass way down. And they may call him for grounding the ball. Now, when he throws it that far, I don't think they would ever call it, Don, when he throws it that far downfield.
I wouldn't think so, Bob. I don't see any flags down, and if they were going to throw it, they'd have thrown it right away. I think the crowd felt that he threw the ball away, and possibly he did, but at least it's a downfield, long pass, not where someone is going down your throat and you dump it, so I think they called it correctly.
That gives you some idea of the poise of Ricky Leach. Instead of taking that ball for a 7-yard loss, he just knew that no one was down that right sideline. He threw it not up for grabs, but out of bounds, so no interception could possibly take place. Brings up 3rd down and 9. Ricky is 2 out of 5. This is a key one. He rolls out to the right. He pitches off this time to the tailback, and he's hit right there at the 38-yard line. And Ohio State's Paul Ross stopping Michigan on their running game here all afternoon. And so Greg Wilner now will come in to punt for the 3rd time. His first one was for 28 yards. His second one for 30 yards. Remember, a week ago, Purdue's only score came on a blocked punt. And Ohio has studied those films, and they almost blocked Wilner's last punt. Wilner is standing on the Michigan 23-yard line. The point of scrimmage is the Wolverine 38. He's 18 yards in from this, the western sideline. 1 man back, number 12. That's Guess for the Buckeyes. This time Ohio is setting up a return, though. They're dropping men back. There it is at the 30. He loses 1 man, and he's hit right there at the 32-yard line. Guess brings the punt back, and he's dropped in there. I believe it was Canavino along with Weber. A 33-yard kick with a 3-yard return. First and 10 on their own 31-yard line. Springs deep and Volley close in the I formation. Volley has the ball, and he breaks 1 tackle, but gets about 3 yards from the 32, just shy of the 35-yard line. Michigan has Turkovac, Canavino, Simpkins, and Bell. And when Michigan scored that 7 points, it means that Ohio State's 11 opponents in 1978 have now scored 192 points. That's the most points ever scored against Ohio State in a single season of football since their inception way back in 1883. There's the Buckeyes on the draw play to Springs. He's hit right there. No gain at the 45-yard line. Using his hands real well defensively for Michigan was Turkovac, Weber, and Meter along with Canavino, all in there making the tackle for Michigan, as there was no running room at all for Ron Springs. And it brings up a 3rd and 6 for Art Schleister. Schleister has converted 2 out of 6. And he has the ball now 3rd down and 6 on his own 45-yard line. So Schleister sets himself with 1 man back. That happens to be Volley. Over at the other running spot is Springs. Schleister will go out in a play-action pass. Now he's going to turn around. Now he can't find a receiver. Now he's being chased again. He throws downfield, and it's incomplete. So Ohio State's very fine punter, the number 1 punter in the Big Ten, Tom Orris, who the last time and the only time he's had to punt here in the first half, booted one 33 yards with no return, as Michigan's Mike Harden allowed it to roll dead on the Michigan 33-yard line. So the Wolverines now will drop once again a tandem safety back in the persons of Mike Harden and Mike Jolly. Jolly, in bringing punts back this year, has brought back 19, averaging 7 yards per return, while Harden has brought back 9, averaging 6.5. There's Orris's beautiful long kick. Jolly takes it at the 15, and he's tackled. No, he gets away, and he's up to the 15, knocked out of bounds. No, sir, they claimed he was knocked out of bounds at the 13-yard line first. He shucked that would-be tackler, but not before the tackler had taken him out of bounds at the 13-yard line. A very fine punt. It happened to be a 50-yard kick. That's well above his average of 44.5 yards per punt, which leads the Big Ten. Okay, Ricky Leach sets his team 1st and 10 on his own 13-yard line. He has Woolfolk deep. There's Woolfolk on the draw play. He's up to the 19-yard line. A beautiful run by Woolfolk there. But I think he was hit and jacked up on that play. It looks as though he was really tackled and possibly hurt a knee or pulled a muscle in his thigh or in the calf. We aren't sure which, but coming in is Rosie Smith. The tackle was made by Todd Bell, number 25. A real fine tackle there. And a good, clean, hard hit by Ohio State's strong safety, Todd Bell. Gene Johnson is out, and Doug Marsh is back into the ball game right now, as the Wolverines have it 2nd down and 4 yards to go on the 19-yard line. Donald?
That's kind of a blow, Bob, because we're a little short at the tailback spot. Hucklebee's hurting a little bit, and I know Smith is hurting. And Smith is in the ball game now, Roosevelt Smith, but we're hurting a little bit at that tailback spot. So that's a tough blow. I hope Wolfhard can come back.
All right, you are, Donald, especially with Huckabee out, as you said. There is Ricky Leach under center, 2nd and 4. He has Rosie Smith deep and Russell Davis close. Ricky Leach on the option play. There's Davis up over the 25, the 30, the 32. Boy, Ricky Leach fooled us along with the Ohio State defensive front 5 because Davis went through with the ball. Greg Bartnick is the man who kicked out that All-State high school player from Cody High School in Detroit. He's a senior now, playing his last game, his last regular season game in the maize and blue uniform, although they're wearing white here as a traveling team in the Big Ten. But Bartnick opened up the hole for Russell Davis, his co-senior, as Michigan is fielding 7 seniors offensively right now. Rosie Smith deep, Davis close, 1st and 10. There is Davis again, only this time he's hit. He didn't fool anybody, especially the front 5 in there. It was Sullivan along with Henson and Ross making the tackle for the Buckeyes. Ohio State's front 5 right now, defensively, average about 236 pounds a man. Michigan's offensive front 7 go at 238. So the Wolverines have a slight advantage on offense in that forward wall of about 2 pounds per man, which is really insignificant. Ohio, when they're on offense, on the other end, have an 8-pound per man advantage. Looking over that defensive 5-4-2 is Ricky Leach. He has it 2nd and 9. Here comes Feaster in motion across formation. Smitty deep, Davis close. Ricky Leach drops back, pops his arm, throws a pass downfield, and it is caught, and he goes out of bounds. He catches it out of bounds. No, sir, he couldn't hold the ball. They're claiming he caught it and went out of bounds with the ball. Now, are they giving it? No, they're not. The Ohio State player thought that they claimed that he caught the ball, he being Doug Marsh. It was beautifully thrown down that eastern sideline. Covering him down there was Skillings along with Bell, and it brings up 3rd down and 9. Ricky Leach in passes here is 4 out of 6. Couldn't be much better with exactly 7 minutes and 12 seconds remaining in the 2nd period. The 2nd quarter of play is just a little over half completed. Wide to the right is Feaster. Wide to the left comes Clayton. It's Smitty deep and Davis close, and Ricky Leach under center. He looks at that 5-2-4, and then he drops back for a pass. He gets away from one man, another man. He's going to eat the ball at the 23-yard line. Ricky Leach could not find a man open, and Sullivan along with Dantzler, both in there, as Michigan's front 7 couldn't hold out that Ohio State fearsome 5-some as they moved in there and put the crunch on Ricky Leach. So Greg Wilner, who has punted the ball 3 times with not too much success in distance, with 28, 30, and 33 yards, and coming into the game, Wilner had averaged 41 yards a kick and ranked 3rd in Big Ten. Ohio's going to try and block this as they're going to storm a 10-man front. And Wilner, he will not be intimidated. He thinks in his mind right now he's going to punt the ball. A bad snap, but he gets it off. Beautiful, long spiral at the 31 taken by Guest. He gets to the 34 and is dropped at the 39-yard line. Mike Guest bringing that punt back. That was a beautiful, long, booming punt. A 46-yard kick as Wilner with the pressure on, 10 men rushing. And he really got it away, and the snap from center was over his head slightly, but he gathered it in, a lot of poise. This Miami Beach senior, who was a walk-on 4 years ago and said, Bo, give me a chance to kick that ball, and what a job he's done. Okay, Ohio trailing 7-3. Schleister has one man back. Schleister's back on the 32. He's going to run with the ball, and he's hit right there at the 37-yard line, losing 3 yards on the play. Art Schleister really upended in there by Kites and Turgovac. Dale Kites, Colo, as his teammates call him. He lives here in Columbus, Ohio. In the summertime, he hauls Woody Hayes' trash. Hayes' residence is on his route where he picks up trash all during July and August, and he'd like to dump that trash right in Woody Hayes' lap right now, I'll tell you. There is a header for the fullback, pitches off to Spring. He's open to the 40, 45, and he goes out of bounds just shy of the first down. He may have made the first down. Remember, the series started at the 39, and he went out of bounds around the 48-yard line. Gene Bell drove him out of bounds. Ron Spring, a beautiful option play there by Schleister as he pulled the Michigan would-be tacklers in, and then at the last second pitched it out to Ron Springs. This boy Schleister is going to be some kind of a quarterback. He's only a freshman, but as they say in football vernacular, even though you're a freshman, by the last game of that freshman year, you're playing your 11th game in front of a packed house every Saturday. You're more or less an experienced sophomore, really. Well, he's doing a good job out here this afternoon. Ohio State will run the full house tee. Two tight ends, a balanced line. It'll be Johnson, Camel, and Volley. There is Schleister with the ball, and he gets the first down into Michigan territory to the Wolverine 47-yard line. Schleister kept the ball, handing it first to the fullback in there, who happened to be Camel, and then pulled it back out, let Camel go on in, opened the way for his quarterback, Schleister, who moved in behind Camel and picked up the necessary yardage to give Ohio State their 9th first down of the ball game. A real knock-em-down, drag-em-out ball game for Columbus, Ohio. Ohio moved 50 yards in 6 plays to take the lead 3-0. Michigan came back 70 yards in 4 plays to go ahead 7-3. Ohio State Schleister into the open, down to the Michigan 40-yard line. Dropped right there. Beautiful running and blocking up front by Andrea Robinson and Vogler, opening up a hole for Schleister as Gene Bell made the tackle along with Mike Harden, the free safety and strong safety. And Schleister got up a bit slowly that time, Donald.
He sure did, Bob. He's been taking a beating. He's running that option, has gotten popped, flipped the ball, gotten popped. He's done a good job of running their attack, though, Robert.
He's quite a young man. He's carried the ball 11 times for 35 yards. This time he has it again. He's up over the 35, and he's hit at the 36-yard line. Art Schleister running with the ball again. He hails from Bloomingburg, Ohio. He went to Miami Trace High School, and he was a high school sensation. He was the football player of the year here in the state of Ohio in 1977. In high school, he totaled 6,041 yards passing and running. So Ohio State has it now, 1st and 10 on the Michigan 37-yard line, and that same young man, Schleister's back, throws the pass, and it's almost intercepted by Simpkins. Oh, Simpkins is mad. Ron Simpkins, who has not intercepted a pass in his career, but has picked up 1 fumble so far this year, led the Michigan team in 77 and recovered fumbles with 5, and that time he almost had his first interception as a maize and blue and the finest linebacking tackler in the history of Michigan football, just out of his fingertips. So it brings up 2nd down and 10. Schleister has the I formation, Springs deep and Volley close. Schleister rolls out, pitches off to Springs. Springs is into the open at the 30, hit at the 25, and dropped right there at the 26-yard line. Beautiful running again, and beautiful option play in there by Schleister. Schleister in high school never lost a game. His high school record was 29-0 and 1 tie. He completed 246 passes. He threw 478 for 4,397 yards and 46 touchdowns. That young man you're looking at, number 11, did all those things as a high school senior and a high school football player at Miami Trace High School in Bloomingburg, Ohio, a little town about 40 miles southwest of Columbus. So Schleister sets his team again, 1st and 10 on the Michigan 25-yard line. There goes Donnelly in motion across formation to trigger the Michigan secondary. Schleister keeps it. He's hit. No, sir. He gets away, and he gets 5 yards from the 26. He more or less worms his way in and out of those would-be tacklers, Donald. This Schleister is quite an option quarterback.
You know, here's a fella that didn't run the option in high school, Bob, and like you said, he's now a veteran after going into his 11th football game, and certainly he's learned something. He's a fine athlete. He's running the option exceptionally well and creating a problem for our defense.
Well, the clock shows we have 4 minutes and 16 seconds remaining. Ohio State 21 yards away from scoring their first touchdown in 3 years against Michigan. They have Springs deep and Volley close. And there is a snap. Now, who came offsides? Michigan first, or did Ohio State pull them offside? It looked as though it might have been Ferguson who pulled Michigan offsides by moving. It'll be illegal procedure against Ferguson of Ohio State. And that means the ball will be moved from the 21 back to the 26-yard line, where it'll be 2nd down and 10. So the 5 yards picked up on the previous play by the scrambling quarterback, Art Schleister, is nullified as Ferguson, just too quick, anticipating the snap from his offensive tackle position. Turgovac hurt his ankle and has left the ball game. Humphreys, number 58, the Chatsey High School lad, a junior, in there at the middle guard. Not a big lad. Ohio may hit right there. And they do with a fullback, but he doesn't get much yardage right at the 24-yard line. On 2nd and 10, he picked up about 3 yards, he being Ricardo Volley, and it'll bring up 3rd down. Here's a key 3rd down. In 3rd down conversions, Art Schleister is 4 out of 8. 50% he's converted. Ricky Leach has converted 2 out of 6. That's about a 33% ratio for Ricky the Peach Leach. A great football game here, just what everybody expected. 40 million on TV along with you and me. We're just enjoying this ball game. I tell you, a lot's going to happen here in the next 33 minutes and 31 seconds. It's the I formation, 3rd and 8. There goes Donnelly in motion to the wide side of the field. Fake to Springs. Schleister's back. He fumbles the ball, and it's recovered in there by Michigan at the 35-yard line. The first turnover of the ball game, and it's Ohio State coughing up the ball. Schleister has had 19 interceptions this year, and Ohio State has coughed up the ball on fumbles 13 times. That is their 14th fumble of 1978, and it couldn't come at a better time as far as Michigan was concerned. He puts Feaster in motion. He gives a draw play off to the halfback well with the 40. He gets down the 45 to the 47 to the 48-yard line. Rosie Smith, whose longest run from scrimmage so far this year was 17 yards, and that time he moved it from the 33 down to the 48. That is about 16 yards, so he's still shy of his longest run of the season, which happened to take place against Iowa 3 weeks ago. Todd Bell brought down the ball carrier. You know, football's a game of emotions. Ohio State had their daubers up. They were moving. They fumbled the ball, and now Michigan is up and have moved for their first down here in the second quarter. There's Feaster in motion across formation. Ricky Leach fakes to the fullback. Leach is back for a pass. He's going to throw a long one down there, and it is caught, almost intercepted at the 25-yard line by Mike Guess. Mike Guess, who has 1 interception so far in 10 games in 1978, went high into the air at the 25-yard line. Rod Feaster was trying to gather in his 5th reception of 1978. Wide to the right is Feaster. And here he goes in motion. And Ricky Leach is under center. And Ricky Leach on the draw play gives off to Rosie's over into Ohio State territory at the Buckeye 48-yard line. Washington makes the tackle in there. His 4th of the afternoon. His 135th of 1978. To the left down below us here is Feaster. Wide to the right side is Clayton. Rosie Smith deep. Fake to Davis, fake to Smith. Ricky Leach throws downfield, caught down there at the 34-yard line by Clayton. Ralph Clayton catches his 22nd pass of the season, the first of the afternoon, and we're going to pause 15 seconds with Michigan, 1st and 10 on the Ohio State 33-yard line. 15 seconds for station identification. Over this, the Michigan Football Network. Michigan with 9 first downs. Ricky Leach sets his team. There goes Feaster in motion across formation. Rosie Smith deep. There is over the center to the 30-yard line goes Russell Davis. A quick opening, almost like a T formation play with Russell Davis in close on the I formation, taking the handoff, carrying the ball, taking it off from his quarterback. But Ricky Leach back here under center, drops back for a pass. He throws a swing pass out to Smith at the 20. He's down to the 15, down to the 13-yard line. And he no sir, he did not go out of bounds to stop the clock. It is 56 seconds, 55 seconds, the all-important clock now. Todd Bell brought him down, and the clock continues to go, and the Wolverines call timeout down on the playing field right now. Clayton in motion across formation. Ricky Leach will go back and drop a pass over someone he can't find. He throws it down there, and it's caught, and it is a touchdown. It is into the end zone, and it'll be an automatic touchback. They claim that Gene Johnson was not in the end zone with the ball. They claimed he was not in the end zone with the ball. It'll be an automatic touchback. Ohio State will have the ball on the 20-yard line. Is that the way you saw it, Don?
The way I saw it, Bobby, he was just short, about on the half-yard line. Wasn't into the end zone, was hit and fumbled into the end zone. Scrambled, but Ohio State recovered for a touchback. 1st and 10 on the 20-yard line.
That's the way it goes in football. That's the breaks of the ball game. Gene Johnson has caught how many passes from Ricky Leach? 4 years at Southwestern High School in Flint. 4 years here at Michigan. The last game of their regular season play together at Michigan, he catches one on the Buckeye 1. He couldn't hold on to it. It didn't go as a touchdown. That is a big psychological break for Ohio State here as they will leave the field maybe on the short end of a 7-3 score. Who knows? 43 seconds with Art Schleister, who has completed 67 out of 146 for 1,002 yards and 4 touchdowns. What might this freshman do? But that's not what the scoreboard reads. It's 7-3, a tremendously played first half. Schleister's going to run out the clock, 14-13. Bob Foreman will be here with a big halftime set up for you. I'm sure you're going to enjoy this. And I believe that's it. It's halftime here in the ball game that you've got to say has similar teams with similar dreams. That is visions of rosebuds dancing in their eyes right now. Michigan 7, Ohio State 3.
Right now, Coach, I know you're disappointed not having 14 up there, but I'll tell you, your team has played great.
How's it look on television? I thought he's in the end zone.
It looked like it was a foot short.
I'll have to see. Our fellows thought they scored.
Okay.
Bob Ufer and Donland all set to bring you the final hectic, helter-skelter 30 minutes of football, Michigan-Ohio State variety of 1978. Ufer and Donland all set to bring you the final hectic, helter-skelter 30 minutes of football, Michigan-Ohio State variety of 1978. You all know the score. Ohio State, midway through that first period, moved 50 yards in 6 plays to take a 3-0 lead, and then before the first quarter was over, Michigan came right back and moved 70 yards in 4 plays to take a halftime lead of 7-3. Michigan had a touchdown in the bag in the closing minute of the first half, but Gene Johnson couldn't hold on to the pass. Rick Leach, he caught it, ran 2 yards with it, was hit, fumbled it into the end zone. Ohio recovered, automatic touchback. Ohio ran out the clock. That's it. We're going to pause 15 seconds for station identification before the second half kickoff. Over this, the Michigan Football Network.
J.P. McCarthy leaps through your autumn almanac in the morning music call, right here on WJR Detroit, America's great radio station, Radio 76.
All right, we're all set for the second half kickoff. Down below us here, we see Harris, DeSantis, Balleone, Virgil ready to kick. Jolly's at the safety. The kickoff here by Mr. Brian Virgil. He approaches its end over end, and it's deep down, taken at the 1-yard line by Hicks. The leading sprint champion in the Big Ten is up to the 20, the 25, the 30, and is dropped at the 31-yard line. And had that lad had one more step, he'd have gone 99 yards for a touchdown. Mark DeSantis, making his 31st tackle of 1978, made the tackle on the Ohio State 31-yard line. Check in Sleester and company with Ron Springs at tailback, Volley at fullback, Donnelly at the wingback, Bartik and Moore at the tight ends. Wide to the left this time goes Rod Gerald, the old quarterback of the last 3 years. Donnelly wide to the right. One man back, that's Volley. There is a handoff to Volley, and he gets about 3 yards from the 31 to the 34-yard line. The first play of the second half finds Ohio State lining up with Volley right behind Sleester. Sleester took the snap from Vogler, the center, handed it off to Volley, picked up a block from Andrea, enabling him to pick up about 3 yards before Dale Kites made the tackle. Michigan has completed 7 passes so far to 7 different ball players. How's that for diversification? 7 for 7 for Leach to 7 different players. High formation, there's a fullback. He's hit at the 38, almost the 39-yard line. A key third down situation. Art Sleester is 4 out of 8 in third downs in the first 30 minutes of play here this afternoon. Ricky Leach is in conversions 3 out of 8. So he's one behind his counterpart at quarterback. And that Art Slechter now is calling the play as Joe Robinson comes in and Barty comes in. 2 tight ends. Gerald just went out. 2 tight ends on a balanced line. It springs deep and Volley close. It's 3rd down and 3 on the 38.5-yard line. And there is the handoff to the fullback, and I don't think, no, Sleester kept the ball, and he did not pick up the first down. He needed to get to the Ohio State 42-yard line. He was tackled just over the 40-yard line by Ron Simpkins, the #1 tackler in the history of Michigan football, with 174 last year. Right now he has 147 so far in 1977. 7 here this afternoon. That brings up 4th down and about a yard to go. 4th and 1, and Ohio State will bring in the leading punter in the Big Ten, Tom Orris. So far in the ball game, Orris has boomed out 2, 1 for 50 yards, and his first one was into the wind for 33 yards. He's standing about 18 yards in from this, the western sideline. The point of scrimmage is a Buckeye 41-yard line. Remember, the last time Michigan had the ball, they had it after Ohio State fumbled the ball, and it was recovered by the Wolverines, and they moved all the way down and had a touchdown pass taken away as Gene Johnson fumbled the ball into the Buckeye end zone. So Ohio State just wanted to be letter perfect. You know, if you can see real close, co-captains Ron Springs and Cousineau both have earrings on, along with 13 of their teammates. Well, different strokes for different folks. So Ohio State's wearing earrings. Michigan's wearing maize and blue halos as far as this reporter's concerned. There's a snap back to Orris. A long, high, booming punt. A fair catch at the 17-yard line by Jolly. Mike Jolly fair catches the ball, and check in. The guts and glue with the maize and blue. Ricky Leach along with his 10 teammates. A 42-yard kick with no return. And so the Wolverines, for the first time here in the second half, leading in the ball game 7-3, take over, and we see up front it's Billy Dufek at tackle, Feaster at the end. Powers at the guard, Nada at center, Bartnick at the other guard, Giesler at tackle, Gene Johnson at left end, Rosie Smith, and here comes Clayton down to this sideline, the western sideline. Wide to the right is Feaster. It's Smitty deep and Davis close, and Ricky Leach under center. First and 10 at his own 17-yard line. He looks at a 5-2-4 defensive alignment for Ohio State. He gives off to Russell Davis, who gets over the 20, the 21-yard line, picking up about 4 yards on the play. Through the left side, picking up blocks in there by Bartnick and Giesler. It was Sullivan and Cato making a tandem two-man tackle. Sullivan's third of the ball game, his 88th on the 78th season, and Cato making his sixth of the ball game, his 77th on the 78th season. So the scarlet and gray clad lads from Columbus, Ohio. Breaking out defensively, here comes Michigan offensively. 2nd and 6 on their own 21-yard line. Smitty deep, Davis close. Ricky Leach under center. Clayton down on this sideline. Wide to the right is Feaster. Ricky Leach looks at a 7 diamond and then rolls out to his right. He's going to keep the ball. He's over the 30, the 29, and is dropped right there. First down for Michigan. Ricky Leach on the option. Beautifully executed by the old Ricky the Peach Leach from Flint, Michigan. The lad who has now accounted for 80 touchdowns on his career. 46 through his throwing arm and 34 running. He's had more touchdowns on the ground than any other player in Michigan. History going by the immortal Tom Harmon, who was a Heisman Award winner some 38 years ago. And can Ricky Leach make it this year? Only time will tell. Well, he's set now. 1st and 10 on his own 29-yard line. The draw play to Smitty. He's over the 35, cuts at the 40, the 42, right out of bounds in Bo Schembechler's lap at the 42-yard line. Michigan, after Ohio State took the second half kickoff and failed to pick up a first down, the Buckeyes punted. And Jolly took it on a fair catch at the Wolverine 17-yard line. Now Michigan, in 4 plays, has moved the ball to the maize and blue 41-yard line. 18 yards in from the far eastern sideline. Up front, it's Feaster, Dufek, Powers, not at center. Bartnick, Giesler, and Johnson. Ricky Leach, a quarterback. Clayton will break out offensively the one side. Feaster to the other. It'll be Davis close and Smitty deep. There they come. Wide to this sideline is Feaster. Wide to the right is Clayton. Ricky Leach looks over a 5-2-4 defense. He has Smitty deep and Davis close. He gives to Davis. Davis picks up Growdy's there, but no, he meets a whole red jerseyed band of Buckeyes at the 43-yard line. It's Sullivan, Cato, and Dantzler. As Ricky has mixed his plays up well, or I should say the coaches up here in the press box, Jerry Hanlon and Bob Thornblade, along with Terrell Burton, all up here in the press box, along with Barry Pearson and Jerry Zuber and the rest of the staff, of course, down on the sideline. Paul Shadell, Bo Schembechler, Bill McCartney, and Don Nalen. Looking at Ricky Leach now with 2nd and 8 on his own 42-yard line. Smitty deep. There's a fake drop play, and Leach is back, and he's going to throw the pass, and it is intercepted by Ohio State. He couldn't hold on to it. Incomplete at the 32-yard line. Underthrown. Skillings trying to make an interception. Ralph Clayton was the intended receiver. It was thrown short of the target. Ricky Leach got fine blocking up front from Powers, Nada, and Bartnick, along with Davis and Smith, who all did their jobs, giving Ricky Leach plenty of time to throw. It brings up 3rd and 8. Ricky has converted 3 out of 8 so far. This is his first 3rd down situation here in the second half after he moved the Wolverines for 1 first down and then another one here early in the 3rd period. Wide to the right goes Clayton. Wide to the left comes Feaster. It's Smitty deep and Davis close, and Ricky Leach under center looks at a 5-4-2. Defensive alignment. Ricky Leach goes back for a pass. He has time. Now he throws downfield, and it's caught at the midfield stocer. He couldn't hold on at the 45-yard line. Clayton couldn't hold on to it, and Michigan will be forced to punt. Ralph Clayton getting up slowly. He may have hurt himself. I don't know. Maybe his pride. Nothing more than his pride on that one was hurt, I think, Lendo.
That's the way it looked, Bob. In fact, it looked like it was good from here, but apparently he didn't have control of it, and the officials saw it. I don't think some of our coaches agreed, but it looked like he dropped the ball.
Okay, in front of the largest crowd in the history of Ohio State football, it's Greg Wilner standing back, ready to punt for the 5th time this afternoon, his longest so far, a 33-yarder. He's standing on his own 27-yard line. There it is. A nice, long, beautiful spiral guess. Takes it at the 12. Guesses at the 15, the 18, the 19. Drops at the 20-yard line. Guess number 12. Okay, the Buckeyes are set. Art Schlichter under center. Springs deep and volley close in the I formation. Schlichter on the option. He's hit and he's dropped for a loss at the 16-yard line. Barreling in defensively for Michigan was Kurt Greer. Old Harvey Martin Greer, the Detroit senior. Senior in academic stature, but he can choose not to graduate next May and take his 5th year of eligibility next year since he has only competed for 3 years. So we call him a senior, but actually he has another year, and that time he made his 8th sack of 1978. So Schleister sets his team now 2nd and 13. He has Springs deep and volley close. This time on the draw play to Springs. He's into the open at the 20. Hit at the 25 and dropped at the 27-yard line. Picking up the 3 yards lost on the previous play and picking up another 6 or 9-yard gain by Springs on the beautifully executed draw play. Schleister went back, gave it to Springs. Vogler and Fritz, along with Robinson, opened up a nice hole on the left side of Ohio State's offensive front 7. And it was Canavino coming in for his 4th tackle of the ball game, his 50th of his sophomore season here at Michigan. Underneath the center now is Art Schleister. He has volley back, and there goes in motion. That'll be a 5-yard penalty by Ohio State. They fumbled the ball. There's a flag on the play, and Ohio State fumbled. Michigan recovered. Michigan may have a chance to take the option here, although they probably will claim that illegal procedure proceeded, Schleister taking the snap, so it's automatically a 5-yard penalty. They have no choice in a situation like that, right, Lendo?
That's correct, Bob. But what had happened was, I think Michigan called it, either the right guard or the right tackle for Ohio State moved, and neither official threw his flag, which is the duty of the umpire, watches interior lineman, and then finally they decided it, and away they went, and it was a 5-yard penalty.
Actually, Schleister, I believe, fumbled the ball down in there, but of course everything is nullified after the flag is thrown prior to the ball being snapped. So the down is 3rd down and 8. It Springs deep and volley close. This will be another draw play to Springs, and he's hit right there at the 25, maybe the 26-yard line. And so Ohio State frustrated for the 2nd time here as the Buckeyes have not picked up a first down in the second half. At the end of the first 30 minutes, Michigan not only had 7 points, but they had 10 first downs. Ohio State had 3 points, and the Buckeyes had 10 first downs. Here in the second half, Michigan has 2 first downs. The Buckeyes have yet to pick up a first down in the second half, and we have the number 1 punter in the Big Ten, number 19, Tom Orris, standing back on his own 10-yard line. There's a snap from Vogler, a nice snap, a right-footed kick, a beautiful, long, booming kick, and it will be Jolly at the 25. Jolly at the 28, the 31, and he's dropped right there at the 31-yard line. Mike Jolly returning that punt back to the Michigan 31-yard line. A 49-yard kick by Orris and a 6-yard return. Very reminiscent of the great Tom Skladany. And, Don, do you have a report from Paul Carey up there in the Silver Dome on the high school state championship?
Yes, I had mentioned earlier that Detroit DePories beat Crystal Falls 38-14. Right now it's 14-14 with North Farmington and Trenton, and it's in the 3rd quarter, Bob.
North Farmington and Traverse City.
Traverse City, correction, 14-14.
That's what I thought. Okay, it's a true I formation. It's Ricky Leach under center. We have Marsh, or no, it's Smergy, or rather Johnson, and Ricky Leach pitches off this time to Rosie Smith, out of bounds into Bo Schembechler's lap at the 36-yard line. On that true I formation again, it's Nada over the ball at center, Ricky Leach underneath Nada, of course, at the T formation quarterback spot, and then behind Ricky, it will either be Doug Marsh or Gene Johnson, and then 2 yards back is the fullback, either Larry Reed or Russell Davis, and then, of course, Rosie Smith at the tailback. And remember, both of Michigan's 1st and 2nd string tailbacks have been injured. Huckabee did not even start the ball game, has seen no action, and Wolfhawk was injured midway through that first half. It's Rosie deep, Smith close, Larry Reed's in there at fullback now. There's a handoff to Rosie, and he's around the right side. It's 2nd and 5, and Rosie picks up about 3 yards on the right side. This will be a key 3rd down situation. It'll be 3rd down and just about 3 right now. Ross made the tackle along with Cato. And the ball rests at the 39-yard line, about 19 yards in from the far eastern sideline, right in front of the Michigan bench. Those white-jerseyed lads from Ann Arbor, nobody on that Michigan traveling squad is on the bench right now. They're all up along the sidelines. It's 3rd and 2. It's Rosie deep and Smith close. Clayton wide to the right, Feaster wide to the left. Ricky Leach under center on the long conference center. And there is Ricky Leach on the option, giving to the fullback. He does pick it up, he being Larry Reed, moving about what he did coming into the ball game on 44 previous carries against 10 opponents. He picked up 4.5 yards on that last play, and that was his average coming into the game. The very fine junior fullback, 6'1", 206 pounds, from way down there in Philadelphia. And so Michigan now has their 13th first down of the ball game. Wide to the right goes Feaster. Wide to the left this way comes Clayton. It'll be Smitty deep and Larry Reed close to Ricky Leach under center. On the long count, he looks at a 7-diamond defensive front defensively by Ohio State. And then he rolls out in the option, and then he cuts over the 45, 47, almost to the 48-yard line, trying to pick up blocks on the left side by Bartnick, Giesler. And so the old Buckeye in the sky and the Wolverine in the sky looking down here upon these Buckeyes and Wolverines in this titanic struggle of 1978. That saw Ohio State the third time they have the ball move 50 yards in 6 plays, and a good field goal gave them a 3-0 lead. The field goal by Atha, and it was good for 29 yards. Then Michigan moved back 70 yards in 4 plays with Feaster catching a 30-yard touchdown strike from Ricky Leach. That's it, 7-3, Michigan, 2nd and 6 on their own 48-yard line. It's the true eye. Here comes motion with Johnson. There's Rosie Smith over the midfield stripe, the 45 Ohio, the 40, the 38-yard line. Michigan is picking them up and laying them down. Oh, Rosie Smith moving in there. Typical George Patton on the ground offense with blocking up front by Bartnick and Giesler, and Larry Reed, the fullback, opening up another block, enabling the tailback, Rosie Smith, and the Buckeyes are getting up a bit slower now on defense. As the Wolverines coming into the ball game, everyone said Michigan has a little bit of edge in talent overall. The Wolverines are favored by 5.5 points, but anything can happen in an emotional 60 minutes of football. Ohio struck first. Michigan leads 7-3. They have it 1st and 10 on the Buckeye 38-yard line. Ricky Leach gives to the fullback, Larry Reed, and he's piggyback ridden into the ground after picking up 4.5, almost 5 yards to the 34-yard line. Sullivan along with Cousino, both in there making the tackle. As the Wolverines are slowly wearing the Buckeyes down, and now the old guts and glue with the maize and blue, who on his passing arm this afternoon is 7 out of 11, and of course the big one was a 30-yard touchdown strike to Feaster. The first touchdown of Feaster's young sophomore career wearing the maize and blue uniform. The ball rests 19 yards in from this, the western sideline. Up over the ball breaks Steve Notta. The line follows. Wide to the right is Feaster. Wide to the left this time comes Clayton. It's Wolfoff back in at tailback, and it's Larry Reed at fullback. And it is Marsh in motion to the right side. A fake to Wolfoff. And there's the pass thrown out there, and it is caught, and he goes out of bounds. He being Doug Marsh at the 21-yard line. Doug Marsh catches his 18th pass of 1978, the second pass of the afternoon. Remember, the first one started Michigan on their 70-yard touchdown drive. A pass to Marsh to the Ohio State 37, and then a pass to Wolfoff to the Buckeye 30, and then the touchdown pass from 30 yards out by Ricky Leach to Rod Feaster, giving the Wolverines their only score of the afternoon. They lead Ohio State 7-3. Wide to the right goes Clayton. Wide to the left comes Feaster under a sun-swept November sky as Ricky Leach with a true eye formation. Underneath center there is Gene Johnson in motion. There's a hand up to Wolfoff, and he's piggyback ridden into the ground at the 21, call it the 19-yard line. It's Paul Ross in there making his 6th tackle of the afternoon, making his 69th tackle of the season as the Buckeyes are digging in defensively. And the Wolverines with shadows on the field right now. It's a beautiful November maize and blue afternoon here in the Snake Pit at Columbus, Ohio, as Dr. Strange Hayes is nervously pacing up and down this side. George Patton Schembechler has the riding crop out on the other side as he's anxiously waiting for Nada to go over the ball. Rosie Smith is in a tailback. Larry Reed at fullback. In the I formation, Ricky Leach goes back for a pass. He cocks his arm. He looks for a receiver. Now he throws it downfield, and it's knocked down at the 2-yard line. Standing down there was Ralph Clayton. And Ricky Leach had a perfect strike, but Skillings came in and knocked it down beautifully. A beautiful pass defense maneuver by the single safety, or call him the free safety, whatever you want to call him. He was free and wheeling on that one as he moved in and almost intercepted on the Ohio State 1-yard line. It brings up 3rd down and 8. A key situation here for Ricky Leach, as in 3rd downs, Ricky Leach has converted 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. He's going to try and make it 5 out of 11 right now as Ricky Leach has the ball on the Buckeye 19-yard line. Nada's over the ball. 2 wideouts to the left. At the slot is Clayton. Wide out is Feaster. It's Wolfoff deep and Reed close, and Ricky Leach under center. He fakes to Wolcott. Ricky Leach rolling to his left. Throws a pass out there to the fullback. He's over the 20, the 15, down to the 10, and knocked out of bounds at the 8-yard line. Larry Reed, the fullback, as Ricky the Beach Leach. Boy, that was beautifully executed. The flow went to the left. Ohio State's defense went to the right to go with Michigan's flow to the left. And then sneaking out in the right flat was little Larry Reed, who has just caught his first pass of 1978. He hasn't been thrown a pass all year, and Ohio figured with Reed in, there's no way Michigan will pass, because Ohio has studied all 10 films of Michigan's 10 games so far, that the Wolverines have won 9 and lost 1, and they were pulled out of position, and Reed was open, and Ricky Leach hit. Michigan on the Buckeye 8-yard line. 2 tight ends and a balanced line. It'll be Wofolk deep and Reed close, and Ricky the Peach Leach under center, and he's looking at a tight 7-4 defense. Ricky Leach keeps. He's down into the 5. He's hit at the 4-yard line. Ricky Leach is moving in there to that Buckeye end zone. The most nervous 4 yards in football. They're on the lip of the cup right now, they being Michigan, and they lead 7-3, and the Wolverines have 16 first downs. Ohio State has 10 first downs in the first half. Ohio State's been shut out so far here with 5 minutes to go in the third period. As far as scoring, as far as first down, it's been all Michigan, as the Wolverines have picked up 6 first downs in the third period. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. Smitty deep and Reed close. Ricky Leach under center. Ricky rolls out, and he's upended right there at the 6-yard line. Beautiful defensive work in there by Len Mills. Len Mills has just committed his first sack. A beautifully executed sack and blitz by the defensive cornerback of Ohio State, who had 17 tackles coming into the ball game, and he has not had a sack this year, but he'll never forget that one on Michigan's Ricky Leach. It brings up 3rd down and 5. Can Ricky Leach move the Wolverines in now as Leach has converted 4 out of 11? This time, if he converts it for a first down, it's a touchdown. Wide to the right goes Clayton. 2 tight ends in a balanced line. It's the I formation. Wofolk deep and Reed close, and Ricky Leach puts Clayton in motion across formation. And then Ricky Leach goes back for a pass. There's a flag on the play. There's a flag on the play. Wait a minute. Everybody stops. And did you pick up Donald?
I'd say it was too much time, Bob. Delay a game.
And I can't remember when the old guts and glue of the maize and blue took too much time between plays, but that is a 5-yard penalty. So it moves it back to the 11-yard line, and now Ricky Leach has about 20 to 23 yards to maneuver in to throw this touchdown strike, because that's what he has in his mind right now. He has thrown 43 touchdown passes in his illustrious career in his search for the Heisman Award and All-American honors in 1978. He has 80 touchdowns on his career. He has Michigan with 3rd down and 10 yards to go at the Buckeye 11-yard line. And so Ricky Leach sets his team. Wide out to the right is Feaster. Wide to the left is Clayton. Hang on to your maize and blue fedoras. Here we go with Smitty deep and Reed close. Ricky Leach goes back. He looks for a receiver. He throws a swing pass out here, and there it is, a touchdown! A touchdown down here to Rosie Smith. Little old Rosie Smith moves in for a beautiful touchdown. He has scored 4 touchdowns in 78. This is his 5th. This is his 2nd touchdown pass of 1978. As little Smitty has now for Michigan scored 9 touchdowns in his career. He's a junior. He has had 7 on the ground, and this makes his 2nd pass reception for a touchdown. Michigan goes 69 yards in 13 plays, and Ricky Leach throws his 47th touchdown pass of his career here as the guts and glue of the maize and blue. Greg Wilner now will attempt to make it 44 out of 45 on the season. There it is. It's up. It's end over end. It's a great big Michigan 14. Aren't you just loving it? Ohio State 3 over this, the very maize and blue, sunshiny November Football Network.
The competition begins. Football, basketball, baseball, hockey. From the Super Bowl to the Sandlot, from Wimbledon to Pebble Beach, there's one place to go for total sports coverage, and that's the Free Press, Michigan's first newspaper for sports. Check the standings, the scores, the schedules, and pick up the inside odds. Find out what's happening in the locker rooms, the dugouts, and the clubhouse. Who's trading? Who's fading? Who are the new hotshots? Who's got the longest hang time? George Puskas, Jim Hawkins, Jack Saylor, Kurt Sylvester, and Joe LaPointe cover the sports scene in depth, local and national, year-round.
Here comes Virgil, and he kicks end over end, not too deep. It's taken on the 4-yard line by Murray. Murray's up the 10 to the 15, hit at the 21 and dropped at the 22-yard line. A fine kickoff return by Murray. Cal Murray, the New Jersey sophomore, number 43. As old Dr. Strangehays with his arms folded down here below us, realizing his team is behind 14-3. Last year, Michigan won the ball game 14-6. Ohio State has not scored a touchdown against Michigan since 1975. And they scored 3 that day, but that's the only season they've scored a touchdown against Michigan since 1973. You got it? 1973, and then 3 in 75. Schleister sets his team. The I formation fakes it. He's back for a pass. He's being rushed. He throws it. It's complete out there at the 30-yard line by Jimmy Moore. Jimmy Moore, the big tight end, moving in there well, as actually the tight ends have only caught 7 passes all year, and that was the 8th reception by a tight end. His name was Jimmy Moore. He's caught 5 of the 8 receptions by tight ends this year. And he just caught that one just shy of the first down. It will be 2nd down and 2. 2 setbacks. It springs along with volley. There's Schleister, and he's hit. And he pitches off to the halfback, who's dropped back there for a loss at the 26-yard line. So on 2nd and 3, now moving in, it was Gene Bell making his 3rd sack of 1978. And here's something about Mr. Gene Bell, the East Liverpool, Ohio junior. He was hurt in a freak accident yesterday on the practice field here, and he could hardly walk in the motel lobby last night. And boy, we thought, how in the world will this youngster play? Well, I'll tell you, when you're playing against Ohio State, and you're wearing the maize and blue, and you're playing for old General Bo George Patton Schembechler, there's no tomorrow. You play over being hurt, and that's the sign of a great athlete. He made the sack on that one. Schleister's back on 3rd and 5. He eludes tacklers. He's back at the 15. Now he eludes another one, and he's being dropped back there at the 27-yard line, no, at the 29, and he almost picked up enough yardage. This is a scrambling freshman quarterback who doesn't say die, Donald. I give this lad a lot of credit.
Bob, he's got a great future. There's no question about it. They recruited a very fine athlete, a good passer. He's put the option together. He scrambled well. I'm pleasantly surprised, or really surprised. I didn't realize he could scramble that well, and certainly a great effort, but he did come up short, about a yard and a half short, and it's 4th down. Bob?
Okay, Michigan has a twin safety back. Of course, you know it's Jolly and Harden, and you know it's Tom Morris, the #1 punter in the Big Ten, standing on his own 15-yard line. The point of scrimmage is a Buckeye 30. A one-bounce snap from the center. A nice kick by Orris. Jolly takes it over his shoulder to 24. Ducks at the 25. He's going to be hit right there and snowed under a blanket of scarlet and gray. And his forward momentum is somewhere around the 24-yard line. A 45-yard kick with no return. You know why this lad, this Tom Morris, is the #1 punter in the Big Ten? Check this out. Against the wind in the first quarter, he punted 133 yards. Then Linden postgame show. Right now, Ricky Leach sets his team 1st and 10, rolls out to the right in the option, keeps it 25, 30, goes out of bounds to stop the clock at the 30-yard line with 2 minutes and 1 second remaining here in the 3rd period. Michigan leading in the ball game 14-3. And coming back out of that out-of-bounds situation, we see who? Feaster at the split end, Dufek, Powers, and Nada at center. Bartnick, Giesler, and Marsh rounding out the front 7. And those Wolverines offensively average 238 pounds. Ohio State's front 5 of Ross, Henson, Sullivan, Cato, and Danzler average about 236. So Michigan has about a 2-pound per man advantage right now. They're in the wishbone, Clayton, Davis, and Woolfolk. There is a handoff this time to the driving man up in there. It is Davis, and he picks up about 2 yards. It's 2nd and 3. It'll be 3rd down and 1. Michigan now has 152 yards rushing, 153 yards passing. That's 305 yards total offense here this afternoon, with 14 big ones on that little scoreboard up there at the southeast corner. It'll be a 3rd down situation for Ricky Leach again. Ricky is 4 out of 11. He would like to make it 5 out of 12 right now as he sets his team in the wishbone. It'll be 3rd down and 2. Unbalanced line to the right. It's the wishbone in the backfield. Clayton, Davis, and Woolfolk, and Ricky Leach under center on the long count. He hands off to the tailback. He picks it up, and he is driving up over the 35. He being Butch Woolfolk, picking up about 3 yards on a great second effort after he had picked up the first down on the initial 2-yard thrust from the line of scrimmage. Give Woolfolk 5 yards on the play, and Michigan has now picked up 17 first downs as they maintain ball control, and that's the name of the game. When you're ahead by 11 points, 14-3, you keep it on the ground, you mix it up with a pass here and there just to drop those defensive men of Ohio State back. This is where Michigan could go on a long one. In other words, it'll be a short pass, but it could develop because Ohio State is stacking up to stop the run. There's the true eye. It is Nada, Leach, and Johnson, Davis, and the Woolfolk, and Woolfolk drives away from one tackler, but he's dropped right there at the 38-yard line. Paul Ross would not be denied a tackle there as he moved in to make his 7th tackle of the afternoon, and he brought down Butch Woolfolk, the number 24, the tailback, doing a great job here. You remember, he's only a freshman. He saw his first action against Wisconsin, and that was just about for Michigan some 5 weeks ago. Right after Black Saturday, he put in an appearance when Rosie Smith and Huck were both hurt up there at Madison. He played 6 plays against Wisconsin. Since then, he's been used quite regularly. Rosie Smith is in at the tandem of the eye right now, 2nd and 8. And it's the true eye again. There goes Gene Johnson in motion. There is the handoff to the fullback, and it is Russell Davis hit at the 40, picking up about 2.5 yards. Sullivan making the tackle at the 41-yard line, as the Wolverines are very content here to run out the last 4 seconds of the third period, and 15 minutes separates Michigan from Pasadena for the third year in a row over this, the very maize and blue 14-3 football network. Formation. Ricky Leach is back on 3rd and 6, throws downfield, and it's caught at the Buckeye 47-yard line. First down, caught by Ralph Clayton. His second reception of the afternoon, the 23rd of his 1978 career. And if memory serves me right, Ralph Clayton caught 24 passes a year ago in 1977 in his sophomore year. This is his junior year. And they call him Sweet Tutu. Old Domino Ralph Clayton just gave Michigan their 8th first down of the second half, their 18th on the ball game. Up over the ball comes Steve Nada. The line follows. The ball rests 21 yards in from the eastern sideline. Here comes Feaster in motion. It's Rosie Smith deep. Davis close. The ball's off to Rosie. Follows Davis, upended at the 45-yard line. Tackled in there by Cato, Sullivan, and Bell. All in there making the tackle for Ohio State. Well, the Wolverines are content here with a 14-3 lead to just kind of cautiously move that ball downfield. And should they get one more into that Buckeye end zone, it would almost, you can say, wrap things up. But Ufer, don't count your chickens until they're hatched. Oh, that's an old saying, but oh, so true. Wide to the right comes Feaster. Wide to the left goes Clayton. It's the I formation, Smith deep and Davis close and Ricky Leach under center. He looks at a 5-2-4 defensive alignment for Ohio State, and then he gives off to the fullback, Russell Davis, who carries Buckeyes over the 40, all the way down to the Buckeye 30, call it the 38-yard line. Remember, the series started at the Buckeye 47, and so the Wolverines are just a yard shy of picking up their 19th first down of this ball game, and we have moved into the final 13 minutes of play from Columbus, Ohio, on this beautiful maize and blue, sunshiny November 25th of 1978. It's turkey weekend, and the Wolverines will eat turkey tonight, flying home in that airplane if they can maintain this lead. Two tight ends in the balanced line. That's power. It's the wishbone in the backfield. Smith and Davis and Clayton. Davis right behind Ricky Leach. Ricky Leach has two tight ends in the balanced line, and he looks at a six-man front. And there is a fullback diving in there, Russ Davis, and I don't know whether he picked up a first down or not. He needed a yard. And the big fullback from down there in Virginia, the co-captain on offense, the man who gambled and ran for 1,000 yards in 1977, may or may not have picked up a first down. Ohio State naturally can demand a measurement here, and so the referee moves over there along that eastern sideline, brings in the chain gang, and if you hear almost dead silence, but from the northern end zone you hear a cheer. It looks like it is. And from down in the northern end zone and a few fans over there behind the Michigan band at the northeast corner of the field, the Wolverines are delighted here that Michigan will maintain possession with 13 minutes and 6 seconds remaining on the clock. And the ball rests 19 yards in from the eastern sideline. The Wolverines on top, 14-3. Michigan has had 73 All-Americans through the years. Bo's had 20. And Woody has had 39 out of 69 All-Americans for Ohio State. The Wolverines have it 1st and 10, and Ricky Leach hands off to Russell Davis, who was on his feet at the 35-yard line and then hurled back to the 37. Russell Davis from 1st and 10 on the Buckeye 37-yard line. Took the handoff from Ricky Leach and tried to pick up blocks from Bartnick, Nada, and Powers, all in there, making the tackle, or making the blocks on Henderson along with Washington, and they were not to be denied because Ohio State stopped Russell Davis just over the 35-yard line. It brings up 2nd down and 7. Up over the ball comes Nada. The line follows. Wide to the left on the short sideline against the Michigan side of the field is Clayton. Wide to the right here. Wide out on the wide side is Feaster. Ricky Leach fakes the draw to Rosie. Goes down. Throws downfield and is incomplete. The intended receiver at the 22-yard line was Ralph Clayton. And he was covered there by Skillings. And so it stops the clock with 12 minutes and 8 seconds remaining. 3rd down and 7. Here is another 3rd down. And Ricky Leach now is 6 out of 13 with his 14th 3rd down one coming up here. The last time he was 3rd down, he had the ball, you remember, after Michigan had illegal procedure. It moved it from the Buckeye 6 back to the Ohio State 11-yard line, and then he picked out that little Rosie Smith on a swing pass out in the left flat and moved into that northern Buckeye end zone to give Michigan this commanding 14-3 lead. Here he is, he being Ricky Leach, 3rd and 7 at the Buckeye 34.5-yard line. He has Smitty deep and Davis close. He's looking over a 5-2-4. He's back to the Buckeye 45, and he's going to throw, and he throws, and it's incomplete because he was rushed. He was rushed and harassed in there by a very fine lineman. Joe Hornick, number 83, moved in there and just hustled Ricky Leach. The intended receiver was Rod Feaster. And so it will be Greg Wilner, who the last time he was called on really boomed one out 45 yards. In fact, the last two times here in the second half that he has punted, one was for 46 yards, one for 45. He'll angle for the southeast corner of the field. Maybe he'll angle for the southwest. He doesn't seem to be pointing in either direction. He's at the 49-yard line of Ohio State. The point of scrimmage is a Buckeye 34.5. The other 10 men, of course, Nada snaps the ball. Wilner is just punting down to the end zone, and it looks like it'll be an automatic touchback. No, sir. It's still rolling around, and it's down at the 1-yard line. Beautiful bounce for Michigan. That's the breaks of football. If it weren't for bad luck, Ohio wouldn't be having any luck at all right now, because that ball was bounding at the 3 to the 1. Instead of 99 times out of 100, it would have gone into the Michigan end zone, but it didn't. It bounded back out to the 1-yard line, and Dick Leach's answer was,
Bob, I think it's very important that parents are very supportive of the teachers and the coaches that will be working with their youngsters. I also feel that fathers should not try to live their lives through their sons' lives. And I think it's very important that they encourage their youngsters in their academic field as well as the athletic program. And I think in Rick's case, we're very fortunate to have outstanding grandparents on both sides.
Okay, sound advice from Ricky Leach's dad. Rod Gerald upended at the 3-yard line, picking up about 2.5 yards as the Buckeyes starting out from the shadow of their own goalpost, literally and figuratively speaking, because there is a shadow right there between a yard inside the end zone and all the way out to the Buckeye 22-yard line, or all the way out to the Buckeye 17-yard line. Ron Gerald, the very fine quarterback, who quarterbacked Ohio State to 3 Big Ten championships in 1975, 76, and 77, is in at quarterback. He's only thrown one pass so far this year. He hands off to his fullback, who hits to the Buckeye 6-yard line, Ricardo Volley, and Ricky Johnson, I believe, Volley was blocking, and Johnson carried the ball and was brought down by that very alert front 5, Meter, Greer, Humphreys, Kites, and Needham, along with Canavino backing up the left side of Michigan's front 5. So it brings up a 3rd down for Rod Gerald, who was in late in the ball game. This is his senior year, number 8. He looks over a 5-2-4. He has Don Lee split wide to the left with 2 tight ends and a balanced line, 3rd and 5. He rolls out, he hands to his fullback, and it is Volley who is stopped short of the first down at the Ohio State 7-yard line. And listen to the disgruntled Ohio State fans. There's nothing more fickle than a football fan when their team's behind at home, but that's the fickle finger of football fate. And for Ohio State right now, the Buckeyes, on a beautifully placed punt by Greg Wilner, in 3 plays they pick up 6 yards. It'll be 4th down and just about 4 on the Buckeye 8. Tom Orris standing back 2 yards from the last white line underneath his goalpost. Gets a nice kick out. Jolly takes it on the Buckeye 45 and slips to the ground at the 43-yard line. So check in. Ricky Leach as the Wolverines lead 14-3, 10 minutes and 9 seconds remaining in this ball game. A 38-yard kick. A 38-yard kick by Tom Orris, and the Wolverines in excellent field position here to move in, and if they can move 43 yards, Lundo, it could be the Maize and Blue in Pasadena, January 1st.
Sure could, Bob, and I'd just like to relay this message here. Traverse City beat North Farmington 20-14. That must have been one whale of a game. Traverse City was at 14-0. They tied it up, and then they won it 20-14. So heck of a ball
hats
game.
Off to the Class A state champions, Traverse City, and hats off to Michigan as Ricky Leach hands the ball off from the 43-yard line to Rosie Smith. He dove over the 40-yard line to the Buckeye 38-yard line, where Henson, along with Sullivan and Cato. So Traverse City defeats North Farmington in a whale of a football game for the Class A football championship of the state up there in God's country, the Wolverine State, where the Maize and Blue will fly home and share Big Ten honors for 1978 with those Jolly Green Giants in East Lansing. It'll be Smitty deep and Reed close. The I formation, Ricky Leach under center. He gives off to the fullback, who picks up about 2, 3, 4 yards as Larry Reed moves just shy of the 36-yard line, trying to get blocks up front from Bartnick, Nada, and Power. The referee unpiling the ball there, and he's spotting it at the hash mark. It's at the Buckeye 36. It'll bring up 3rd down and 3. Ricky Leach now with monotonous regularity converting these 3rd downs. He has 6 out of 14. He'll try and make it 7 out of 15 now. He has Smith deep and Reed close. Clayton in motion across formation to the wide side of the field. Leach looks at a 5-man front, gives it on a draw play, and it is maybe a first down. I don't know. It was Rosie Smith trying to pick up 3 yards, and the referee right now, we're right on the 33-yard line. I'd say he made it, wouldn't you, Lendo? But we're going to wait till the $200 an hour men in there.
It appears, and he's going to have the chains come in, Bob, which is good procedure from a referee standpoint to measure to make sure, and then there's no question about it. So, but it looks from here like he's made it.
They're bringing in the chain gang now to see whether or not Michigan picked up enough yardage here for the first down. There it is, just by about 3 inches, and Michigan now has 20 first downs. That is one of the objective offensive goals of Michigan's offense. There, of course, number 1 is to win. They are to pick up 20 first downs, 275 yards rushing, 125 yards through the air, a total of 400 yards, but all important is to win. And now they lead 14-3. They have it 1st and 10 on the Buckeye 33-yard line. It's the wishbone in the backfield, Smith, Reed, and Clayton. There is Reed with the ball, and he's hit there at the 28-yard line, upended in there by Ross and Henson. Check, it's Clayton, Ralph Clayton, on the crossbuck from the wishbone. And actually, it's not what you'd call a true wishbone in the sense that Houston or Texas used to use it, in that the fullback, Russell Davis or Larry Reed in this case, is standing just where he does in the eye. So he's about 2 yards back, further from the quarterback than in your true wishbone, which gives Michigan a chance from the I formation or the wishbone to maneuver on crossbucks. Well, that's the same situation. You can see it right now. 2nd and 5. There's a handoff to Rosie, and he's up over the 25, and he's hit just shy of the 25 and driven back by the whole left side. Doolin, Danzler, Cato, all in there making the tackle for Ohio State. Somebody was shaken up on the play, and while they're working on Rosie Smith, the last tailback on Michigan's traveling squad, let's pause for a word over this, the Michigan Football Network. Up over the ball comes Steve Notta. Feaster wide to the right. It'll be the wishbone in the backfield. Woolfolk, Reed, and Clayton. Here comes Feaster in motion, and wait a minute, there's going to be a timeout as Ricky Leach calls timeout as he walks over to the sideline. And we're going to talk here with Russell Davis for just a moment, the co-captain on offense. We asked Russell Davis this week what's been his biggest thrill in Michigan football in 4 years, over the past 4 years. And Russell Davis's answer was,
well, I've had a lot of, big moments in my career here, but I'd have to say the very first one would have to be just starting my first game here for Michigan was my biggest thrill. And then along with that would have to be scoring against Ohio for the first time. And, the list could go on and on.
Russ, let me ask you one more question. What's been the toughest team defensively for Russ Davis to run against all these years?
I'd have to say Ohio State and Iowa.
Russell Davis is over on the sidelines right now, very content to watch Ricky Leach guide these 3 Wolverines, Woolfolk, Reed, and Clayton in the backfield, Giesler, Bartnick, Notta, Powers, Dufek, Feaster, and Marsh on the line. As Ricky has a 3rd and 3 now, a key 3rd down situation leading 14-3. And there is Ricky Leach back for a pass. He's going to throw for the end zone way over the head of everyone. Feaster, there was the intended receiver. So it'll bring up 4th down and 3 as Ricky Leach couldn't connect on that one. In passing this afternoon, Leach has connected on 11 out of 21. Not a bad afternoon for the Heisman Award candidate. For the Maize and Blue of Michigan, as Ricky Leach has thrown for 47 touchdowns and run for 34, a total of 81. And here is number 1, is Greg Wilner in field goals. He is 3 out of 12. B.J. Dickey kneeling at the 33. It'll be a 43-yard attempt. It's spotted. It's kicked. It's way off to the left. No good. Give Ohio State the ball with 7 minutes and 16 seconds remaining on the Buckeye 20-yard line. Anything can happen in football, believe me. And listen to the crowd. And this Ohio State crowd is telling their Buckeyes that the last time you had the ball, you couldn't do much because Greg Wilner punted it to the 1-yard line where it was 10 at his own 26-yard line. Rolled to the right. Couldn't find a man open to hand it to. Cut back in. Kept the ball and was dropped at the 26-yard line by Kurt Greer, picking up his 8th tackle of the afternoon. And so over the ball now comes Tim Vogler. It is 2nd and 10. The 2 running backs are Volley and Springs. There goes number 89, Hunter, in motion. A drop back pass by Gerald. But wait a minute, there's a flag on the play, and evidently the officials here detected illegal procedure against Ohio State, and that will move the ball 5 yards further back toward the Buckeye end zone. Illegal procedure, and that has precedent over anything that transpires after that yellow flag goes down. And so they move it back, the $200 an hour men, 5 yards to the 21-yard line. Donald's up second down and 15. Rod Gerald, who's quarterback, very little this year. He's being sacked, but no, he gets away. He's a running bugger. Let him go. Out of bounds at the 26-yard line. Rod Gerald ran last year beautifully as an option quarterback. And if you remember that first 15 minutes up there on Canham's carpet in the hole that Yost Chrysler paid for in Canham carpet, and Schembechler fills up every cotton picking Saturday afternoon for the last 23 straight Saturday afternoons with over 104,000 fans. Well, in that first 15 minutes a year ago in the Ohio State game, Rod Gerald ran the Buckeyes for 1 touchdown. He picked up 6 first downs. He carried the Buckeyes to 111 yards, and Michigan had 4 plays and 5 yards in the whole first 15 minutes. There he is again, Rod Gerald, 3rd and 10, back for pass. Throws it, it's caught at the 31, and he's dropped at the 32-yard line. Remember, the series started at the Buckeye 26, so it brings up 4th down, and Ohio State, a futile study in frustration right now. Even the fans are frustrated as Canavino and Simpkins made the tackle, and Ohio State's quarterback, Rod Gerald, has just completed the 3rd pass by Ohio. And so it's been pretty much Michigan after the first scoring drive by Ohio State midway through that first period when they moved 50 yards in 6 plays and connected on a fine 29-yard field goal. And there's Tom Morris. There's a fake one, and he is hit right there at the line of scrimmage, and he picks up absolutely nothing on 4th down. Michigan takes over with excellent field position. Look at those maize and blue happy Wolverines with their hearts in Pasadena right now for January 1st. Their bodies are right here in Columbus. So they didn't shave this morning, so they didn't shower, they didn't scrub their teeth. The water went off in the Columbus Hilton here, where the Michigan football family spent the night last night. It went off, I understand, about 2 o'clock this morning. They said a water main broke a half a mile away. It was probably old Dr. Strangehaze wandering around down in these sewers here in Columbus, turning off the water. Here we have B.J. Dickey in at quarterback. B.J. Dickey in at quarterback on 1st and 10. But wait a minute, there's a timeout. B.J. Dickey just gets the nod from the PA system, and Ricky Leach has left the field. And you know, the way we sum it up, you can say that Frank Merriwell is alive and well, and he's playing on the Michigan football team this year. Tom Harmon rides again. Virtue is winning again. Lochinvar lives. Knighthood is in flower. Camelot is down on that Michigan bench right now as Ricky Leach, one of the greatest players in the history of Michigan football, a real-class young man, has just left the field for the last time during a regular season. What a career, what a guy, Ricky Leach of Michigan. And there's B.J. Dickey handing off to the fullback, Larry Reed, who knifes through the right side to the 27-yard line before he is dropped in there as they're unpiling Cousineau, Bell, and Washington. The last 5 minutes of the ball game. Michigan has it 2nd and 6 on the Buckeye 27-yard line. It's a wishbone in the backfield with Woolfolk, Reed, and Clayton. There is the fake to the fullback. It's handed off to Woolfolk through the right side. He's upended there at the 25-yard line by Murphy, Skillings, and Guess. Michigan has the ball game more or less wrapped up, 14-3. The Buckeyes have not picked up a first down in the entire second half. A very futile effort by the Buckeyes. They were supposed to be the underdogs. They have proven to be the underdogs in the second half. Michigan rose to the occasion, and for the second time in successive years, 1976, again in 1978, with a digital scoreboard showing 4 minutes to go this year, there go about 30% of the 88,000 fans out of the open end of the stadium across the fields. Meanwhile, B.J. Dickey sets his team. He rolls out to the right, and he's piggyback ridden into the ground at the 27-yard line. Okay, they're unpiling right around the 26-yard line. Cato made the tackle right after 59 seconds remaining. It's the I formation, Woolfolk deep, and Larry Reed close. B.J. Dickey under center. It is 4th down now. Check. It's 4th down. 4th and 5. B.J. on the draw play. And he's hit right there, and Ohio will take over on their own 26-yard line. Sleester's back in the quarterback. He has Springs right behind him. Sleester's back for pass. He cocks his arm. He throws downfield, and it's caught by Ohio State's Gerald. And Gerald breaks away and is dropped at the Michigan 49-yard line. This ball game is not over. 3 minutes and 37 seconds remaining. Ohio picks up their first down of the second half. Sleester, the very fine passing quarterback, has just connected on Ohio's 4th pass out of 6 thrown. And the Buckeyes have it 1st and 10 on the Michigan 49-yard line. We pause. After this play, we'll pause for station identification because the Buckeyes are rolling. 3 wide outs to the left. Schleister is under center. Vogler is the center. Schleister's back. He has plenty of time. It is knocked down, beautifully knocked down, and we're going to pause with a 2nd and 10 on the Michigan 49-yard line. Let's pause 15 seconds for station identification. Okay, the Buckeyes are set. Art Schleister set. Ufer and Lender set. Schleister goes back on 2nd and 10, cocks his arm, and it's intercepted by Michigan's Mike Jolly. And he's dropped at the 48-yard line. Mike Jolly makes his 3rd interception of 1978, and that could be just about all she wrote. And deep and read close in the I formation. He's looking over a 7-diamond defense. He's back for a pass. B.J. Dickey throws it way over the head of everyone. The I formation, B.J. Dickey handing off to the fullback, Larry Reed. Al Mitchell is in at the wingback right now, number 30. And up front, we have Giesler, Bartnick, Nada, Lindsay, and Paris all in there. And Billy Dufak playing today, free of injury for the first time in 1978 since the opener, way back there against Illinois some 11 weeks ago. Played a great game out here at right tackle, as did all of these seniors, Nada, Bartnick, Dufak, Gene Johnson, Smirgy, and of course the big 3, Huckabee, Davis, and Leach. What a fantastic trio they've been over this 1978, 77, 76, and 1975 Michigan football years. B.J. Dickey now with 3rd and 8, 1 minute and 55 seconds. Hands the ball off to Wolfike through the left side. And the crowd pretty well content now. And realizing that Ohio State has fallen to the Wolverines for the 42nd time in 75 ball games. Ohio has come out on top 28 times. Michigan has won 42, and 5 times these two teams have battled to a tie. And then they had that heartbreaking loss, 10-3, heartbreaking in every sense of the word, to Schembechler personally and to the Michigan fans. There it is, a long kick by Greg Wilner, hitting on the 5, and it's going to be another bounce. It's going to be down inside the Buckeye 5-yard line. Beautiful punting here by Greg Wilner, and he also is a senior. And defensively for Michigan, how about Jerry Meter playing his last game of the regular season for the Maize and Blue, the co-captain on defense, the outside linebacker who's done such a great job for Michigan over the last 4 years. And, of course, Big Tom Sebron, the old Sea Dog, as his teammates call him. That'll be a boisterous plane going home tonight from Columbus to Ann Arbor. Believe me, the Wolverines should get into the locker room area around 6:30 or 7, and you might come down and greet the 1978 Big Ten champions. At quarterback is Schleister back into the Buckeye end zone. Cocks his arm. He's going to run out. He's out to the 5, and he's dropped from behind on the 9-yard line by Ben Needham. A very fine backfield man, or defensive end. You know, the Wolverine Cyclones started up in Ann Arbor last Monday with the Maize and Blue lights still gleam through the old Wolverine evergreens, and it kept building momentum as it swept into this Buckeye Stadium this afternoon at 12:50 and reached hurricane proportions at 3:30 this afternoon. There's a pass completed, Schleister, and it's complete down there to Hunter, and he's dropped at the 15-yard line. And in summing up the great defensive play this afternoon by Michigan to climax a tremendous year outlined against the dark blue November sky, the Wolverine blockade grew tighter and tighter today. In dramatic lore, these defensive Wolverines could be known as the octopus, the python, and the boa. These are only aliases. They are really called McCartney's Monsters, as they formed a crest of Wolverine tar pit right down there now as they just smothered Schleister again on the 12-yard line. And they have driven the Ohio State struggling Buckeyes into a bottomless goo as 88,332 fans, the largest crowd in the history of Ohio State football, peered down upon the bewildering panorama spread upon the green plain below. I'm pretty sure by now that you Michigan football fans get the general idea. It was a doggone good, awesome Wolverine defense again today that proved to be quicksand for this Ohio State and the vaunted legions of Woody Hayes as the Wolverines defense shut out the Buckeyes another time from picking up a touchdown in a ball game against their hated rivals from up northwest of Columbus. Well, with 20 seconds remaining, B.J. Dickey is quarterback sneaking the ball, and the first half ended with Schleister dropping on the ball for Ohio State, content to run out the clock with Michigan on top 7-3. And now 30 minutes later, and that's all there isn't anymore. And God darn it, I just got to tell you, for the 5th time since Bo Schembechler played against Woody Hayes, this is the day no Michigan man will ever forget. The day Ohio came to bury Michigan, all wrapped in maize and blue. The words were said, the prayers were read, and everybody cried. But when they closed the coffin, there was someone else inside. Oh, the Buckeyes came to bury the Wolverines, but Michigan wasn't dead. And when that game was over, it was someone else instead. 22 Michigan Wolverines just put on the gloves of gray, and as Cavender plays the victors, they're going to lay Woody Hayes away. The final score here again, Michigan 14, Ohio State 3. The Wolverines Pasadena bound for the third year in a row, and maybe this year will be Big Bo's big year in the Tournament of Roses ball game.
Final score 14-3 before 87,000 fans.
Here I am with Rick Leach and a crush of people at the Ohio Stadium. Rick, a lot of men have ended their careers here at Ohio State for Michigan. I remember Harmon here back 38 years ago, but I'll tell you, nobody ever ended a career more gloriously than you did.
Thank you very much. Hey, Manson. Hey, quit pushing. Hey, thank you very much. It was a great victory for our Michigan team. We've won 3 in a row from Ohio State. 2 of them have been down here, and it's the greatest feeling in the world.
All right. Thanks a lot, Rick. As you can see, it's a far cry from what it was when Rick was a freshman here 4 years ago.
To Ohio State, to you, Columbus, we say thank you, and goodbye. We will miss you in the fall, in the winter, in the spring, but someday we shall return. Till then, goodbye, Ohio State. Goodbye, red and white. Goodbye, Columbus. Goodbye, Columbus.
Touchdown! Ricky Leach scored. Oh, my goodness gracious sake, that's the finest touchdown. I thought he was, I'm speechless. Jimmy Smith collects in a beautifully thrown to the end zone. Touchdown! Larry Reed, the freshman from New Jersey, electrifies the crowd and pulls Ricky in the top Rhino. Big touchdown number 28 on his career. He has climaxed a great big Michigan afternoon.